No cars. No
Air
cars.
conditioner.
I know.
Really?
Warm.
Okay, folks, if I can have your attention, please. Lights on. I would like to call this June 13th, 2023 Planning Commission meeting to order. I would ask you to turn off your cell phones or any other devices not to disrupt the meeting. Anyone wishing to speak to the board, please come to the microphone and state your name and address for the record. The first thing on the agenda tonight is approval of minutes from May 9th.
Move to approve. Second.
Any questions, comments, or concerns on the minutes? Hearing none, I'll call for a vote. All in favor of approving the minutes, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? The minutes are approved. Director Sheila.
First case tonight, Mr. President, is case P09A23, petition of Mark Herodes, requesting development plan approval for Ashley Furniture Warehouse Edition. This is at 5107 Centerline Drive.
Move for approval.
Second. Someone here to represent this case, please step forward.
Tori Tripp, Tripp Engineering Consulting, 401 South 2nd Street, Converse, representing Ashley Furniture. Just a real brief overview of the project. This is in addition to the existing warehouse. It's a little over 11,600 square feet. It'll be attached to the existing building with a breezeway. It will be used for storage only, no additional showroom. We received a parking variance last week. John had a couple comments when we went through plan review. We've added those to the plans and they're shown in the final set. And then I can answer any questions you have.
Where are they going to access that building as far as loading and unloading?
There's 3 loading docks in the back, just like the existing warehouse has now.
Very good. Any other questions from the board? Any questions from the audience on this case? Hearing none, I'll call for a vote. All in favor of case P09A23, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Development plan approval is approved.
Easy for you to say.
Easy for me to say. Next case, Director Sheehan.
This case, Mr. President, is case P07Z23, a petition of James O'Neill requesting Kokomo City Plan Commission petition recommended to Kokomo Common Council for a change in zone classification for R4 medium residential to R5 high density urban residential. This is property at 1110 North Apperson Way.
Move for approval.
Second.
Someone here to represent this case?
Yes, sir. James O'Neill, 5882 Hollow Oak Trail, Carmel, Indiana.
Give us a brief summary of what you're doing, please.
Sir, so I'm turning a single-family home and converting it into a duplex. It was previously a R4, and I'm requesting to convert it into a R5. As of last week, I did the special exception and the variance, and then I did go ahead and submit those new floor plans as requested by the board last week, which you have in front of you. And so here to possibly get that approved today, sir.
Any questions from the board before we have staff report? Director Sheehan.
Staff report for case P07Z23, James and Mattie O'Neill has requested a change in zone classification for the property address listed above. The property will be used as upper and lower level duplex residence. According to the current City of Kokomo zoning ordinance in the R5 zone, a residential duplex is a permitted use along with the special exception. Adjoining property and zonings are to the north, south, east, and west are all R4. According to the City of Kokomo Comprehensive Plan Future Land Use Map, the property shown above is located in an area proposed for medium-density residential. This area is shown as the dark yellow area in the screenshot below. Medium-density residential is single-family housing of various types, between 3 to 6 dwelling units per acre. Typical high-density housing would be single-family, detached, duplexes, triplexes, condominiums, townhomes, and cluster housing. Under land use goals, encourage orderly and responsible development to promote health, safety, and quality of life of residents in the City of Kokomo while maintaining Kokomo as a leading community for affordable housing. Relevant land use objectives are to encourage adequate land for residential, commercial, industrial, institutional, and recreational uses. Designate specific districts in the community suitable for residential, commercial, industrial, institutional, and recreational uses. The goal of the City of Kokomo Comprehensive Plan Transportation Map is to enhance connections throughout the city for improved safety, function, and efficiency for all modes of transportation, including vehicular, bicycle, and pedestrian networks. According to the transportation map, this area of North Apperson Way is defined as a minor arterial, which is a street that collects and distributes traffic to and from collector and primary arterial streets. The traffic count for this area of North Apperson Way is 5,215 cars per day. The requested zoning change is compatible with all surrounding zonings, therefore the staff desires that the board forward a favorable recommendation to the Kokomo Common Council.
Any questions from the board? Now we've had staff report. Thank you for the update on the 422. Is there any questions from the audience? Hearing none, I'll call for a vote. All in favor of case P07Z23, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed? Motion is approved. It will now go to the Common Council and will be presented there by Councilman Griecu.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Director Sheehan.
The next case tonight is case P08Z23, the petition of Advantix Development Corporation requesting the Kokomo City Planning Commission petition and recommend to the Kokomo Common Council for change in zone classification from LI Low Intensity Industrial Business Park to M3 Large Scale Multifamily Residential for property described at 3109 West Sycamore Street.
Move for approval.
Excuse me.
Second.
Thank you. Is there someone here to represent this case?
Hello. Brandon Shields, broker and business development manager for Advantix Development Corporation. Just that better? Good.
Try again.
Is that better? There we go. All right. Tall. Brandon Shields, broker and business development manager for Advantix Development Corporation. A brief overview is, as you're aware, as most people are aware, we are working with the Kokomo Housing Authority for the Kokomo.
Can you give us your address, please?
500 Southeast 10th Street, Evansville.
All right, thank you. Go ahead.
We are working with the Kokomo Housing Authority. We need to, excuse my voice tonight, I'm battling a little something. We are relocating the 175 units across Kokomo in a few different projects. And I believe this particular one, Sycamore Springs, I'm going to pass out a little bit of information to you so we can all kind of be on a little bit more of the same page, but that's just kind of a brief overview of the first project. There are subsequent hearings the rest of the night on additional parcels and projects, so this will all kind of just go in together. So we're all here just to, answer questions and whatever comes, whatever we have to discuss and move forward and see what we can do to make this project happen. So I'm going to go ahead and pass these out real quick.
You want to tell us what you're saying here on this paper, please?
There's two projects. One is Sycamore Springs. The other is North Market. Like I said, it will be 175 units total across both projects. Sycamore Springs is a $15 million total investment. We have the breakdown there of the 5 1-bedrooms, 21 2-bedrooms, 32 3-bedrooms. North Market is a $30 million investment. 42 1-bedroom, 75 2-bedroom. We listed the median income limits for a family of 4, standard family of 4 at the bottom of the page there. And I know one of the things that was questioned a lot was local amenities, moving so many families to another side of the city. So we listed how short of a distance realistically it is for some of the local amenities. Just kind of a broad overview of things that are still favorable for the project. Just wanted to be clear that it is not 175 new units as far as in addition to the existing units. This is the relocation. This is working in, again, our partnership with the Kokomo Housing Authority to take a property that is no longer feasible and building new affordable housing throughout the city. These projects will be modern. They will be very energy efficient. They will meet all the standards of any new construction, whether it's affordable or market. It will meet all of the new all of the new standards and guidelines, building codes. This is not something that we're new to. Advantix has been around since 2007. We're very successful at this. I'm aware of we are aware of the concerns, but we feel like it's a pretty good project. We're looking forward to trying to make this happen. So,
Do you know what the square footage breakdown on each of the?
I can get those for you. I don't have them right now,
Appreciate that.
but I can get that for you.
Any questions from the board before we have staff report?
These are intended to be single-family dwelling units.
Well, not all in it. It's a mixture. It's a mixture. North Market will be 3-story, I believe, and then Sycamore Springs, the Sycamore site will be 2-story, and then we will have a single-family residential scattered throughout the city on some of the tax sale BEP lots that are currently vacant.
Any other questions before the board? Director Sheehan, staff report, please.
Staff report for case P08Z23. Tim Martin of Advantix Development Corporation has requested a change in zone classification for the property address listed above. This property will be used as apartment buildings. According to the current City of Kokomo zoning ordinance of the M3 zone district, multifamily usage is a permitted use. However, for 50 or more units, a special exception is required. The joint properties zonings are as follows: to the north, C2, medium to large-scale general commercial and IS institutional; to the south, AR, agricultural rural residential, and R1, very low-density residential; to the east, again, R1, very low-density residential; and to the west, AR, agricultural rural residential. According to the City of Kokomo zoning ordinance, the M3 zoning district is compatible with all adjoining property zones except the AR and R1 zoning districts. However, several existing lots currently zoned as AR and R1 surround this lot. According to the City of Kokomo Comprehensive Plan Future Land Use Map, 3109 West Sycamore Road is located in an area proposed for general commercial. This area is also shown by Sycamore Road as the red area in the screenshot to your left. General commercial is an area that accommodates a wide variety of large and small-scale commercial uses. Typically, this category is for commercial uses that cater to vehicular traffic with high visibility from major roadways. Land use goals to encourage orderly and responsible development to promote health, safety, and quality of life for residents in the City of Kokomo while maintaining Kokomo as a leading community for affordable housing. Relevant land use objectives are to encourage adequate land for residential, commercial, industrial, institutional, and recreational uses. Designate specific districts in the community suitable for residential, commercial, industrial, institutional, and recreational uses. The goal of the City of Kokomo Comprehensive Plan Transportation Map is to enhance connections throughout the city for improved safety, function, and efficiency for all modes of transportation, including vehicular, bicycle, and pedestrian networks. According to the transportation map, this area of West Sycamore Road is defined as a minor arterial, which is a street that collects and distributes traffic to and from collectors and arterial streets. The traffic count for this area of West Sycamore Road is 7,615 cars. The requested zoning change is compatible with all adjoining property zonings except the AR and R1 zoning district. However, there are existing AR and R1 zones that border this parcel. Therefore, the staff desires, that the board forward a favorable recommendation to the Kokomo Common Council.
Any questions from the board now that we've had staff report? Questions from the audience?
My name is Penny Snyder. I live at 214 Lakeside Court in Kokomo, Indiana. I'm here representing many of the residents of the Willow Ridge area. In particular, the Homeowners Association of Willow Ridge Lake, Doral Park West, Villas West 1, 2, and 3, as well as other neighborhoods on the west side. I'd like those present who are here from these areas to please stand. Thank you. You can have a seat. At last week's BZA meeting, Brad Bagwell presented signatures of many of the residents of the area. I have a copy of the petition for this board. We have collected over 400 signatures.
If you could give it to Jessica down there, please. Thank you.
As you can see from many of the attendants and the petition, the residents of this area are strongly opposed to the proposed development at 3109 West Sycamore as an income-assisted housing area. There are three main reasons for our opposition. First, according to the article regarding the RAD program, the idea is to revitalize blighted areas within the core city of Kokomo. This area is not in the core of Kokomo, and it is anything but blighted. Currently, there are no public transportation services to this area. There is no ready access to essentials such as groceries, pharmacies, or other needed services required by those who need this type of assistance. And walkability is definitely in question. It is essentially a quiet, peaceful area with a lot of wildlife. Allowing a multifamily development would also require basic infrastructure that may not currently be available to this site. Second, and something that's very unfortunate, this type of housing typically requires more calls for service from police, deputies, and other first responders. Placing income-assisted housing in this area would stretch the resources of officers, ambulance services, and lengthen response times. As a comparison, Garden Square, which has 75 units currently occupied, had a total of 74 calls for police and sheriff assistance alone between March 1st and June 9th of this year. The Willow Ridge area, with over 400 homes, had a total of 15 calls for police and sheriff assistance for the same time frame. Let me repeat that. 75 units occupied, 74 calls, compared to 400 plus homes and 15 calls. This difference of these numbers alone represent a huge concern for many of our residents. Transferring tenants from Garden Square to the proposed location will only introduce the same statistics to the new location. Third, it is our belief, as stated in the petition that you have received, that such a development will decrease the value of our properties we call our home. Our houses and condominiums are in a very desirable area of Kokomo. When they go up for sale, it's normally only a matter of days and they are sold. We'd like to keep this neighborhood as the quiet haven we all love. I think we've all heard the line from the movie Field of Dreams, build it and they will come. Unfortunately, Kokomo has taken that as build income housing, assisted housing, and those who need it will come. It's become a calling card for the city of Kokomo. Sadly, many from Chicago, Detroit, and elsewhere have also heard this call. While we all want the empty lots of Kokomo to be productive and generate taxes for the city, we should focus on providing the type of housing the future employees of the new battery plant and other associated manufacturing plants coming to Kokomo would want. That said, we should be developing Kokomo to a higher standard rather than aiming for income-assisted housing. Thank you for your time.
So, but you're correct on the variance. It didn't really be
Thank you. My name is Brian Caldwell. I reside at 755 Riverview Drive. And I've been asked to speak with you tonight regarding our concerns about this property at 3109 West Sycamore. 4 of you already have been through some of this information, but for the benefit of the others, I want to make sure that we cover it. Advantage originally sought this special exception permit approval from the BZA to build a 56-unit affordable housing at 3109 West Sycamore and a 90-unit affordable housing at 1411. They were then planning to reduce that number at Sycamore to a 50-unit project and requested parking space variant. When this was voted down by the BZA at the hearing on June 6th, and they saw the hundreds of petitions signed, as well as the 200 plus in attendance, they tabled to a later date and lowered the number to 48 to further avoid any more votes from the BZA. This is exposing what seems to be the main goal of this project at Sycamore, that represents not the well-being of residents, but the desire at all costs to help Advantix gain a foothold in this unblighted and well-kept area on the west side. The decision to place apartments of this nature at this location seems to be more serving Advantix and the sellers of the property than serving those who need help. This addresses an outlier when viewing all of the properties mentioned in the plan for building sites in Kokomo. Since recently learning of this plan, we residents of this west side neighborhood are confused, concerned, and eager to point out the long-term disadvantages of using this property for this purpose. The following quote from an article in the Indiana Economic Digest appears to describe the goal of our mayor and his team. They are interested in finding ways to develop these properties so they create income through taxes and become an improvement for the neighborhood in which they're placed. The key phrase here is become an improvement for the neighborhood. Here's the quote from the article. Advantix Development Corporation, a nonprofit affiliate of the Evansville Housing Authority, has big plans for Kokomo, seeking to build affordable housing in the form of 2 larger housing units and a number of duplexes and triplexes on vacant or blighted properties throughout the city core. As Mrs. Snyder has already stated, this is not blighted, it's not run down. These are not our words, these are words of those who are heading up this project. It is currently zoned as light industry use, where it will have little to no effect on the over 400 homes in the neighborhood right next to it. 3109 is in reality a zoned location for any number of small businesses or even a private home with a large yard. It needs to remain so, please. Additionally, it has been pointed out that this area is completely isolated from all of the support mechanisms in place for residents of assisted income apartments, located almost a full mile from the nearest grocery store and 3/4 of a mile from the nearest bus stop. Ms. Graves will speak to you about these concerns in just a moment. But in the meantime, I want to call your attention to the following pages with a visual comparison of 1411 West Market versus the Sycamore property. Apartments on the Market Street site would positively impact that area. You can see all of the blank industrial lots and the home values that are on the realtor site. They range in price from $7,000 for some empty lots up to around $50,000 in that area. This is also in the core of the city of Kokomo. When you switch to the picture of 3109, this area is not located in the core. It's not blighted in any way. A drive through the entire surrounding area reveals extremely well-kept homes and condominiums. Did you guys mow your yards this week? Okay. There's pride in ownership in our neighborhood throughout this west side, and the proposed structures will not increase the value of the homes in this area. It will hurt the home values. Notice the values on the realty site. They are quite small, but they are ranging from 175 to 200,000 up to anywhere 475 and 500,000. There's another picture of the street view of 3109 West Sycamore, not blighted. It's a very pleasant park-like setting right there. And it is located 100 yards from the Santa Fe entrance into this entire neighborhood that is going to also generate quite a bit of congestion as people try to get in and about that area. This is a bird's eye view then on the next page with the little red dots that look like little pin dots there. It's difficult to understand the logic where you see this conglomeration of products here, and then here we are, the outlier on the far left of that small map. The condominiums and the homes in the area don't sit unoccupied, and as in many of the addresses listed in the plan, in fact, this is a very highly valued area of real estate. And we've already covered that with the other folks that have talked about it. I would like to skip on to the last statement on that page. We, the members of this West Side neighborhood, implore this body to not allow this site to be used for the purpose of any apartment units as described in the proposal. Not 56, not 50, not 48, or ever how much lower Advantix wants to drop the number of units. There should be no rezoning of this property. It's not in the best and the most beneficial area. If the purpose is to find accessible property in the core, this isn't the core. We feel the more questions we bring up about the background of this property, the more questions and concerns have been generated. She spoke just a moment ago about 75 units being filled and having 74 calls for service. That's almost one call for every unit there, on average, in just 3 months. This West Side neighborhood with over 400 homes, 15 calls. We have so many people who have retired and built homes in this area, and they have done so because it is quiet, it is secure, it is safe, and they feel much safer in that area. They are very concerned, and I am very concerned. What's the motivation of the Kokomo Housing Authority to do away with Garden Square site? We're talking about just now, I heard multi-millions dollars, $20, $30 million to build one of these structures. What's wrong with taking $30 million and completely refurbishing or raising Garden Gate and creating a new site there? The information circulating without confirmation is that the current buildings need to be condemned or another entity wishes to develop them for another use. Garden Square has all of its support that's in place at that site. It's in the core. By splitting apartments at multiple locations, we're stretching the police, and you've heard all of this tonight already. Again, the mayor and Advantix state these buildings were to go up in blighted areas. There seems to be little to no monitoring of the long-term effect of the land deals that are taking place around this construction. Advantix has left a trail of news articles documenting problems in Terre Haute as well as in Evansville. Is anyone checking on this track record in these locations? It appears that Kokomo Housing Authority is being taken off the task of running Kokomo Housing, and the duty is now being handed out to an out-of-town entity. We're confused, and we don't understand why this is going on either. Who ultimately oversees the selection process besides Advantix in locating available property? Is it the people selling that property? Mr. Steele spoke on the 6th of June about a long list of people waiting for housing. Were all of the people on that list from Kokomo? He also spoke to the concern brought forward that we are bringing citizens from out of state. This is a fact. Everyone in this room knows this. He stated that we're only 47 out-of-state individuals, but 47 is still too many, but this number is greatly skewed downward due to the fact that once an out-of-state resident moves into Kokomo and takes in the housing, they are then required to change their license registration and are deemed local. So there may be 47 who are currently out of state, but there are many more who have come in to do that temporarily. Once they have their voucher requirements, they turn around and leave the city again. Money and living space is going to them rather than to Kokomo families. I want to turn the mic over to Mrs. Kim Graves. She's spent 35 years for the betterment of quality living for income-assisted families here in Kokomo. She has some important information for you as well, and I thank you very much for your ability to sit and listen to us and take your time.
Any questions from the board before we go to the next question? Please go ahead.
Definitely not as tall as him, so I'm going to have to. Can you guys hear me okay? Everybody can hear okay? My name is Kim Graves, and I live at 812 Lakeside Drive. So some of the things that you've already heard, I may go ahead and stress again. And some of you that were here the other day, you'll probably hear a repeat of what I have to say. So I am a volunteer for a non-for-profit that helps families below poverty level here in Howard County. And I feel by moving the low-income housing out of the core and relocating them will create definite hardship on these families. Now, who doesn't want a nice new brand new building? Of course they do. And where some of them currently live at Garden Square, yeah, they do need to be moved. I totally agree with that. You are going to create hardship for them. I would like to see the options reviewed and not reviewed to place them at 3109 West Sycamore. So let's think about this a little bit. Why create more of a stressful situation to these people? We are concerned about relocating them, but have we looked at the real situation? So I'm about to share this with you. We talked about the trolley service, so that definitely is important because from 3109 to the corner of Dixon and Sycamore, where the first trolley stop is 0.6. And I don't know about all of you, but that's a pretty good distance to walk from there. And in front of Sycamore, when you cross over Santa Fe, there is no sidewalk there at all. So there's definitely going to have to be a sidewalk that's going to have to be put in. And if there's not a sidewalk put in, guess what? They're going to ride on State Road 22, aka Sycamore Street, which is a very busy road. And when they go down that road, they're going to have to pass over 4 other side streets. So, and as you know, you said over 7,000 vehicles that cross down that road daily, and then all the other cars that are coming off the side roads. So the sidewalk from 3109, you're talking 0.1 to get to the next sidewalk in front of the gas station, okay? That's still a pretty good distance if you have 3 or 4 kids that are following you. Groceries, this is a big deal for groceries. So grocery shopping, it's almost a mile to get to the local grocery store. That's a big deal. So they're going to have to walk all the way to the grocery store, carry all the groceries back, maybe take their kids with them. If you stop and go over to the grocery store, it's going to cost you about $5.28 for milk and bread. If you go to the convenience store that's right there, it's going to cost you $8.48. You go to the next store, it's going to cost you $7.98. If you go a mile and a half to the dollar store, $6.65. Where they're currently located, if they walk to a grocery store that is a mile away from them, $3.94 for bread and milk, okay? That's a $1.34 difference from the cheapest on the west side to where they're currently at. That $1.34 means a big difference to people that are on low income. I don't know about you guys, but that's huge. Food pantries, the closest food pantry is 2.1 mile, and they can only go there on Sundays and Mondays from 3109 on West Sycamore. They're going to have to walk there. All right. Their community meals, the closest one, every Wednesday, 1.2 miles. Once again, they're going to have to walk there. Their mobile pantry, currently where they're located, is right across the street. They just walk over, and it is done according to when that organization sets it up. This month it's going to be done in the middle of June, so they just have to cross Hoffer Street. So right now, those kids that are living at Gateway Square can walk right next door and get meals Monday through Friday, and that's about 25 to 30 kids. That's quite a few kids. Every day they know they can walk over there and get a meal. How's that going to be taken care of when they're at 3109 West Sycamore? That concerns me. I mean, are we going to, how are we going to accommodate those kids? Christmas, that's another issue. Right now at Hoffer Street, they walk across the street and the parents pick out Christmas for their kids. We've been doing this at least 6 years. So now we're going to add stress to them. We got to provide them transportation to get all the way over to Hoffer Street for them to select Christmas for their children. And I just want you to know, over the past 6 years, we've helped 9,500 kids in Howard County and provided them with Christmas. That's huge. So we're not making it easy for these people when we move them all around town, because we'll probably have the same location where we provide Christmas. But you're adding the stress on the parents. Yeah, they think it's great. Once again, they're getting a new building. But by relocating them out there, that's another amenity. I heard this gentleman speak about, yes, we're thinking about the amenities, but do you really consider that? Just like the groceries, the household food stamp income for one person is $280 a month, $281 a month. That's $70 a week. So he's got to think about how he's going to spend that money. Or for 3 people, $740 a month. That's $185 a week. I don't know how many people in this room, for 3 people in their household, can spend $185 a month on groceries in 1 week. And we're putting them in a situation where they've got to walk 1 mile there, 1 mile back, and all they get to spend is $185. And you're talking people that may have 0 income. Okay? Excuse me for just a second. Give it a sip. Thanks. As you can tell, I'm kind of passionate about this. I agree Gateway Square needs to do something with that building. I've been in that building a couple of different times because we've had to furnish people in there, take care of them, clothe them, and take care of what they need. Something does need to be done with the building. But the west side is definitely not the place to place these people. You're making it harder for them. I feel that the building does need to be changed, demolished, or whatever. However, why not rebuild in the same area? It's where all the amenities and what they're used to. Invest the money at the same location using local contractors. We are the city of First. If not, why don't you invest in that area, build your 48 units, and select another site for the additional units, which they have 7 other sites. What about North Street? That's just a thought for Advantix. There's a big open lot there. We have all these different places. These all need to be considered amenities nearby wherever they build in Kokomo. Because if not, we're going to end up putting these people out on the street. Whatever we do. We need to bring jobs to these people. And why not offer them jobs at Advantix? Why not offer them help build their situation and make their situation better? Some of them aren't able to. They're disabled. I totally get that. But this is the city of First, where we are a very giving community, and we help our own. And I am totally against them building at 3109 on West Sycamore because you are making it harder on these families. And if we decide to do this, then we might as well take up a collection in this room right now for these people to have tents and sleeping bags. Even though they're not paying any rent, that's where we're pushing them. That's exactly what's going to happen. So just to finalize it, yes, it will be a hardship. Yes, they'll get a new building. Yes, it'll be great. But is it creating a nice situation? We're just thinking about ourselves in the building, but we're not thinking about these families. And I hope that we take that into consideration. Thank you.
Any questions or comments before the board before I ask if there's any more input from the audience? Is there anyone else in the audience who would like to bring up anything new?
My name is Jamie Botter, and I actually live at 800 East Hoffer Street at Gateway Gardens. I have lived there for about 7 years. I've made a home with my little boy. Okay, can you hear me now? Okay, my name is Jamie, and I actually live at Godwin Squares Apartments. I've lived there for about 7 years. I'm a single mom to a little boy. Living there has given me affordable housing, and I've made it a home for us. And I've lived in Howard County my whole life. It has given me a leg up. I'm actually work part-time for the county myself, so I do pay rent. Living there has never made me feel unsafe. And I have the support of the Howard County Housing Authority behind me and my son. He does a lot of activities with the Housing Authority, with like Homework Club. Yes, if we move, it would be a new building, new improvement stuff for us. It would be a good adventure. From what some of these other people have said about the distance, Gateway has the same issue. Our closest trolley stop is about 0.4 miles from our apartment buildings. We have to walk across the Invitrek parking building, carrying our groceries, having our kids behind us going through that parking lot. Yes, we can walk across the street for to do the Christmas gifts, but also Salvation Army delivers Christmas gifts to us every year. And yes, some of us do pay rent out there. Yes, I think we do deserve a new place.
Mike Wyatt, and I live out there also, but in 1964, my father passed away, and there were 6 kids at home. Mom lost a house, and we moved into what they called Gateway Gardens at the time. And it was such a nice place, you know, I thought it was, because I was just a kid, but I can't understand why we can't go in there and redo these buildings for these people, make them nice, instead of spending all the money out there, and they don't have no sidewalks, they don't have no way to get to the store, and the buses is not going to go out there and get them either. But I just want to say that, you know, Gateway Gardens, when I was a kid, my dad died, like I was saying, we ended up losing the house, and we moved out there. And I still think it could be a nice place for these people. And I just encourage you and anybody that's got anything to do with it to redo Gateway Gardens. You know, I don't understand why they can't do that. Because they could empty a building and redo it and make it brand new. Do the next one, do the next one. And I just can't understand, because when we lived there, we had people coming in, painting and doing different things to our unit. And, you know, my mother paid $27 a month to live there with 5 kids. And we made it work. And to come from that, to be here speaking to you, I think that can be redone and not build millions of dollars worth of places out there for these people and put them out in the country where they can't get to the store or nothing. So anyway, that's all I got to say. I just want to say thank you for all you do, all of you, and I just wanted to say my thing. Okay?
Appreciate it. Any questions or comments from the board before I see if there's anyone else in the audience?
Excuse me. Hi there, my name is Brian McPike, and I live at 5571 West, 00 North South. Lifelong Kokomo resident. My family created a business on West Sycamore. We have a lot of property on West Sycamore. We made a multi-million-dollar investment to develop that west side of town, and it's something we're extremely proud of. Another thing that hasn't been brought up is our property taxes. I was at the meeting last week, and I still haven't got an answer on that, but I know that our property is going to go down in value, but I can guarantee you my property taxes are going to keep going up. Just like this year, it went up over $40,000 in a one-year span. It's getting unsustainable at that rate. I'm also concerned about people walking back and forth. Sycamore is an extremely busy street. You know, is there going to be more crime at our storage facility there on West Sycamore? We spend thousands of dollars a year on surveillance, cameras, lighting. Am I going to have to hire another guy to live there 24 hours a day to surveil our property? Am I going to have to hire people to maintain the yards, pick up all the trash? Because right across the street I have an empty lot right there as well. Those are some of our major concerns. one thing with our facility is, and everybody here, they know where we're located. We keep it clean. We keep it safe. We mow our yard all the time. We landscape, and we take pride in our business, just like all these nice people do with their homes. The west side, you could probably count them on two hands, the blighted houses on the west side of Kokomo. And that may be even too many, because there's not that problem on the west side. What this nice lady just stated, that was shattering. That just basically said everything that needs to be said. That was very well done. As long as with our storage facility, I also have HP McPike Home Improvement. I drive around all day going on appointments with customers, going to my other 3 storage facilities. I think it's a great idea to fix up old dilapidated houses. That is a great idea. I think everybody in this room would consider that a positive for the city of Kokomo. The west side of Kokomo, you don't have that problem. And the last meeting we had, people were saying, well, we want to be more like Carmel, we want to be more like Westfield, we want to be more like Zionsville. No, we want to be like Kokomo. We want Kokomo clean. The west side of Kokomo, that's how we are. It is clean. It is quiet. Pretty much everybody knows their neighbors. Everybody gets along. If there's a problem, you can go talk to people. Like I said, when I go on my appointments for either the home improvement or go and at West Sycamore, we have 1,000 units. So I have 1,000 customers. Not all of them come in and pay. A lot of them come in and pay with a credit card, or they call, or they like to stop in and just talk to us. And out of all the home improvement customers I deal with, which a lot of these folks are my customers, a lot of these folks are my storage customers, not one, and the good Lord can strike me right now, not one person that I have spoken to in the last week, month, 2 months, has said this is a good idea. Not one person has come to me and said this is a good idea. A good location, if you're looking for dilapidated properties, is right next to Olive Garden out by Lowe's. There's a huge hotel right there. Everybody that drives into our beautiful city, they look over there and they're like, oh, look at that place. That place probably has 150 rooms. Somebody could buy that and turn that into 75, 2, 3-bedroom condos. You've got your parking, you've got stores, you've got restaurants, you've got trolley service there. That's a great location for somebody to develop. I ask that you please just consider the kind people out here that have taken time, have spent money, have spent time making the west side of Kokomo a great place to live, because that's what it is. And we're all proud of it. And we just don't want to see or be put in a situation where that changes. So thank you for your time.
Anyone else in the audience?
John Malloway, 711 Riverview Drive. And some of you probably heard me speak last week, and I'm not going to dwell on that. I came from a town that was destroyed by rioting. I came here 9 years ago, and I found a place where I got my peace of mind and my serenity, and I was welcomed in this neighborhood that I moved into at Willow Ridge. I am feeling an anxiety and a worry about having this complex put in my neighborhood. I lived not too far from where this rioting that I came from started, and it started in one of these complexes. And I'm not saying it's their fault. I'm not saying that these folks from Adventix or whatever they call them, the corporation, they're doing their job. They think they're doing their job. But you know, when they leave, any problems they cause, we're going to have to deal with. Our neighborhood, our town, and maybe our county. We're going to have to fix it. They aren't going to come back and help us. You know, when I walk down the street, I meet neighbors and friends. because my neighbors have become my friends. I feel a little anxiety about inviting hundreds of strangers into my area who I don't know anything about. And look at us. You can call it anything you want, but this is a retirement community we live in. They all got gray hair and no hair like myself. You know, my dream is to live my life, the rest of my life, what God gave me, and finish my life here because it is peaceful. And when I stand before Him, I want to be able to tell Him, I left it in the same condition I got it. And that's why we're here. This is worth protecting. Our peace of mind, our serenity, we love our community and we want to keep it the way we found it. And thank you very much for allowing me to talk to you tonight, because this is part of what I, as an American, love too. I'm able to get up and express my opinion. Thank you very much.
Fancy paperclip there, sir.
If you don't, I will.
Good evening. Paul Wyman, 211 Sandy Court, Kokomo, Indiana. So, first and foremost, it's no secret that I have this property listed for sale. And by speaking tonight, the obvious impression could be that I'm really interested in my commission, and that's why I'm here speaking regarding this property. I can assure you tonight, my comments have nothing to do with a commission that I may earn on this property. Zero. My commission on this property will be donated in this community to organizations helping those less fortunate. I say that not for any other reason than for my comments to be taken for what they are tonight. There have been many times in our community over the years that this topic has come up for a variety of reasons. Some of it zoning related, some of it fear, some of it the unknown. And the truth of the matter is, sometimes in these situations, I just want to share the other side. And I'm not up here falling on my sword tonight for the project. I have nothing in the project. I have nothing with Advantix. They're represented by their own brokers. They're represented by their own organization. But I always find myself in a position to speak for those less fortunate than us in this room. Time and time again, over the years, in my time as county commissioner, in my time as developer, in my time as realtor, I've been in meeting rooms like this, packed. When we did the Valley of Grace Addiction 90-Day Treatment Center in Eastern Howard County, we had 3 times the number of people in this room that came out and remonstrated against it. And every single thing you heard at the microphone tonight, as a county commissioner, I listened to that evening from the people in Eastern Howard County. The Valley of Grace has been open for over a year now. Many addicts, many people with mental health issues have been through the Valley of Grace. And there's been no problem. The neighbors haven't been broken into. Nothing's been trashed. Nothing's been stolen. In fact, some of the very remonstrators out there are now volunteers at the Valley of Grace, helping people who are less fortunate and suffering in our community. When we came here, this room was packed for Wabash Recovery. We needed the special exception to do sober living for people in our community less fortunate. Again, the unknown, the scared, Netflix, HBO. What you see on TV is what drives our perception of people who live.
Folks,
Knock it off.
he's got the floor. I'd appreciate it if we'd hold it down. Thank you.
The perception of people who live in subsidized housing or are suffering from addiction. And the truth of the matter is, Wabash Recovery has been open now going on 2 years, right in the middle of a neighborhood, and frankly, no problems. When it was time to get Turning Point rezoned, this very room, same scenario. People concerned, people worried, the unknown, the fear, I get it. Turning Point sees over 400 people a month underprivileged in our community, helping them through the trials and tribulations from housing to addiction to mental health concerns, you name it, right in the middle of the neighborhood, and no problems. I get it. I understand the fear. The people from Chicago, I have heard this many times in my elected capacity, and I've dealt with it many times in my profession as a realtor. There are people that have moved to our community from Chicago, and they have come here for a better life, no different than the gentleman that just spoke to you before, who came here for a better life than where he lived. My message to the world is Kokomo is open for a better life because we offer a better life. And the very residents that we are talking about today are members of our community. They are here living in our community. They are human beings like each one of us in this room. And the fact that they may have an opportunity to live on the west side of Kokomo, to God be the glory that there be that opportunity for them to live in a $10+ million facility compared to what they're living in today. If you haven't been to Gateway Gardens, I suggest you go take a trip and just spend some time with the families over there. And I will tell you right now, you know that place cannot be saved. It was built in the 30s for a specific reason. It's no longer that reason today, and that place cannot be saved. It needs to be torn down. And what that means is we have hundreds of people in our community living in substandard housing, living in conditions that we would never dream of our families living in. Many of us will go to church this Sunday. We will. And I will tell you right now, in any given church in this community, we will talk about helping those in need. We will talk about standing up for them. We will talk about doing everything we can to help them. And the truth of the matter is, what I've handed out to you are facts. And what I want to do is just share a few of these facts with you. The first one, I gave you an aerial, and if you look right in the middle of it, you'll see Good Shepherd Church. If you'll see on the map, this is the location of the property that we're having discussion about today. There's tremendous fields between this location and the neighborhoods. But what's really more interesting to me about this, from a factual standpoint, is Autumn Trace Apartments. Autumn Trace Apartments is over to the left with that little blue dot. Autumn Trace Apartments was built in our community as lower income housing that was assisted by the government in 1996, I believe. It is literally feet from Villas West. Feet. And in my real estate career, I have never had somebody tell me they would not live on Village Drive or Mirage Drive because of subsidized housing at Autumn Trace. And I've been doing this for 25 years. And never did I hear that Autumn Trace, the subsidized housing, is infiltrating that neighborhood and breaking in and robbing and trashing. Never have I heard that.
Folks, everybody has been decent when you're speaking. Please show the same courtesy.
I think you understand my point about Autumn Trace being right there up against this subdivision. And if there's a one-off or two-off that I've missed over the years, every neighborhood has a one-off or two-off, no different than what was shared about the 14 calls in Villas West. Every neighborhood has an issue from time to time. But Autumn Trace has not caused a problem for Villas West. Subsidized housing. The next one I'd like to draw your attention to is this one that has in the middle of it Lucas Home Furnishing. If you'll look at that road, County Road West 300 South, to the left of Lucas Home Furnishing and to the north of that is Pine Valley. Subsidized housing. Literally across the street from Bridgewater Subdivision that has homes that range anywhere from $300,000 to $600,000. That neighborhood was built on top of this subsidized housing. Meaning, we are making a $300,000 to $500,000 and $600,000 investment right next to a community of these subsidized living folks. And no problem. The next one I'd like to draw your attention to is the one that has the AMC Classic Kokomo 12. You see the red dot for Garden Square, Gateway Gardens. All along Hoffer Street is business after business after business, including the UAW Local 685 haul across the street. These people that we're talking about tonight who live here are not breaking in these businesses. They're not trashing Hoffer Street. They're not stealing things. They're living here. Another factual evidence of the very thing that's happening around this subsidized neighborhood. Businesses growing, businesses operating, people doing commerce, and no downside. And the last one that I'll draw your attention to, if I may, is the last drawing with the red dot in the bottom right, which again is the location of this property. You can see the same distances to businesses, to residents, to all the sorts of things that we've talked about tonight. which are the same distances from the very gateway gardens that people are living in now and not creating the problems. My real point in wanting to discuss this tonight, ladies and gentlemen, is this. It is easy to draw the conclusion in our minds that everybody that lives in subsidized housing are criminals or bad people or want to do things that are nefarious. In my personal experience, that's not the case. In my personal experience with Valley of Grace, with Wabash Recovery, with Turning Point, with Gateway Gardens, in my experiences with the people that are living and being served by those organizations, these are people that want nothing but the best for their families. And they're looking for those opportunities to improve. And the truth of the message that I'm afraid is being sent out of this room tonight is it's okay for you to live in our community, but this is where you will live. And I'm going to tell you right now, it goes against every grain in my body. To say to people, you are good enough to live here and here only, goes against the core belief of what every community should stand for. Our community should be rallying around people in Gateway Gardens and Pine Valley and finding ways to serve them and bring them closer to success, to bring them closer to those of us that believe in everything that we do and the success in our life is the right thing, the right way. Tonight we have that opportunity. This isn't about a trolley stop. There will be a trolley stop here. You all know that. The city is not going to let this development happen and not put a trolley stop out there. They're just as far at Gateway Gardens to a grocery store as they are from this location to a grocery store. The facts are what matter when we have these conversations. My ask tonight is this, that the conversation be, how do we as a community make all of this work together and not make people feel less than what we are or the level of success that we've been able to achieve in our life? That's not the right answer. This zoning, as you heard from the Plan Commission, qualifies. There's plenty of residential in the area. There's plenty, in fact, you all rezoned it so that we could have multifamily housing out there with the honeycomb that was going to go there. Many people were going to live there. It's just that many people weren't subsidized. Many people had the means to live there. We've already zoned it for many people to live on that property. And so when you vote tonight, I just want you to think about that. Are we not zoning it? Are we going to vote against it because of those people? Or are we going to vote on it because truly, truly it qualifies? And truly, at the end of the day, it's what we're called to do in our communities, is to help the least among us. Thank you.
I do have to stand up and just say one quick thing, and that is that there was a lot of glazing that just went on, and I was in the neighborhood. I was in this neighborhood in 1992, and once Autumn Trace was put up, we did have trouble in Autumn Trace. The builder, Jim Bagley, ended up having to put up a 12-foot fence that ran clear across that because all of the homes that he had built for the people that are in those condominiums had lawn furniture taken, plants taken. People were just walking right through the trees and taking everything they could that wasn't ironed down. And he put that up, and there have been problems. We have a couple of firefighters and a police officer in the neighborhood that said there is a lot of problems that are going on over there. I don't know how somebody can stand here and say there isn't criminal activity that's going on. It is, and it's swept under the rug, and it's incredibly upsetting to hear somebody say that it doesn't go on. That's a valid concern. It is a fact. Thank you.
Brian McPike, 5571 West, 00 North South. A lot of you folks know me. A lot of you folks know my family, my father. Paul, I know you very well. I think you completely missed the point of what we're doing here tonight. Nobody's scared. Nobody's living in fear. We want everybody to have the best opportunities possible. What we're all saying here tonight is that location on Sycamore is not the right place for this. It's common sense. No offense to you. You're a real estate guy. You know that this is not the right place for this facility. Yeah. And that's all I have to say.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So, my name is Kim Graves, reside at 812 Lakeside Drive. Just a couple of things I want to add to Mr. Wyman's statement. And just for the record, you know, I went a different route because I really am about these people and what amenities and what's going to benefit them and what's going to work for them. I do want to add one thing. Yes, there is crime that is coming from Autumn Trace. I chased a person out of my garage down to their car where they were stealing stuff out of my garage. The police have it down as a report. We traced him back to Autumn Trace, and the police department said, "What do you want to do? Do you want to prosecute? How do you want to handle this?" I said, "Evict him from the apartments." There was 3 guys that were loading up in their vehicle every single morning at 7 a.m. that were going through the neighborhood, and when your garage was open, they were stepping in and they were stealing stuff. So I was one of the people that this affected. I overlooked it. That was the best way that I could solve the issue instead of prosecuting. That wasn't going to resolve anything at all. I also know that we had people there was a person that was arrested from going on the condo line and walking in the condos at night, breaking into them. And that person was arrested as well from Autumn Trace. So I understand their concerns, but I also understand Gateway Square's concerns. And I understand that this is a need that needs to be completed, but we have to look out for what these people really need and what we can do better. And once again, I stand that West Sycamore is not a great place. Thank you.
Derek Steele, 1901 South Goyer. I am the executive director of the Kokomo Housing Authority. And I want to talk about all the issues that have been brought up and how many misstatements and factually inaccurate things have been said here tonight. Mr. Wyman gave you a litany of facts. I'm not going to try and add to that. The one thing that I do want to speak to, and I know Kim and I know she knows me, but to think for 1 second that we at the Housing Authority, who will continue to assist these individuals through vouchers, are going to turn our backs on them and not assure that they have the assistance and the resources that they need is so hurtful to me. And again, I know Kim knows me and knows the heart of the people that I have working for me. And we will never allow that to happen to the people that we serve so long as I am part of this agency. Our mission is providing housing and transforming lives. And we take that second aspect very seriously. And to think that for 1 second we're going to put people in a position that will harm them, that we as the Housing Authority are intentionally doing a money grab or allowing someone else to do a money grab at the expense of who we serve, quite frankly, is offensive. We have had conversations with the city, with other agencies. I got a letter from Kokomo Urban Outreach that I wanted to give to you to indicate that they will continue to work with us and serve our residents, no matter where they are. Same with FSA. We are working to make sure that this works for our residents. All the other issues, all the other facts, you have those. But I don't want to give an opportunity for this commission to think that the Housing Authority is in any way, shape, or form putting our residents and the people we serve in a worse position through this. They will have access to amenities and resources. We will assure that they still have access to amenities and resources. These food pantries and services, they don't just pop up in random places around town. They pop up where they're needed. So if there is a need, people like Kim, people like Paul, they'll make sure that those needs are met. This is a community that meets needs. And the need right now is housing, sustainable, livable housing. There are 950 people living in your community today, and it's factually inaccurate to say that they moved here after applying. 950 people living in this community today that have applied for housing assistance. 950 of your neighbors, colleagues, friends, the people that serve you at restaurants, the people who serve you in the courthouse. 950 people. And not a single person in this room would trade places with Jamie and spend a night in her unit. And to say that you can just turn that around, Paul stated it, it is impossible to rehabilitate those units for less money than what we're putting into private equity for the new properties. Private equity will not rehabilitate those buildings. So, again, the one thing that I want this commission to leave with from my statements, you have the facts, but please rest assured that no one who receives assistance from the Kokomo Housing Authority will ever be turned away, have their issues and needs ignored, so long as I am a part of this organization. We will continue to serve them, and we will continue to assure that this community is better because of their presence in our community.
Bill, sit down, I got a question for you. Yes. I thought we had a fair question from Mr. Wyatt. Could you explain what the problem is about redoing Garden Square?
Absolutely.
A unit at a time. Explain so that everyone knows the situation.
Absolutely. So the major issue with redoing Garden Square is the fact that it is built over a 80-year-old boiler system. There are steam lines running all through that property. Every unit at Garden Square is heated through a steam radiator. Again, I can have Jamie speak to this. In the winter, those radiators are not easily controlled. The vast majority of the units that are occupied at Garden Square in the winter have their windows open when it's snowing out because you can't control the heat in those units. You cannot effectively remove that system and install a new system without completely removing those steam lines, because the steam lines underneath, as they deteriorate from not being used, will cause foundational issues in the entire property. So the only way to rehabilitate Garden Square is to take it down to the ground, gut the ground, remove all the steam lines, and then rebuild. Those are just not financially feasible. We are talking upwards of 18 million just to remove the buildings, not to even build new. Thank you. Sorry, any other?
No, any questions from the board? At this time, I would like Mr. Sheeline to explain to you what this board does, because he does a better job of it than I do, so you understand what we're getting ready to vote on. Penny, you want to go say something?
Again, my name is Penny Snyder, and I live at 214.
Good first time only on that.
Okay,
Just
good
go.
enough. All right. Mr. Steele addressed the fact that he would never, or the Housing Authority, let anyone not take care of the issues of his tenants. We're approaching you to take care of our issues. We are very concerned. We know that there is a need. We are not questioning the need, but we are definitely questioning the location. And you as elected officials are our way. We don't have the Housing Authority behind us. We have you. And we very, very much implore you to reconsider. the zoning for this property. Thank you.
Okay.
Hi, Melody Rail, 736 Lakeside Drive. The property that they want to build on is just under 5 acres. Now, I don't know how many people in here know how big that size is, but for example, there's a lot just south of Good Shepherd Church that is just under 5 acres. Just kind of goes from the church to Carter Street. That's just under 5 acres. Just to give those of you who live in that area an idea. Now, 48 apartments is 150 to 200 people there on that 5 acres. So for those of you who live in Villas West, you can envision 150 to 200 people plus parking spaces, and I assume some kind of playground for the children. I don't know where y'all are going to put it on that little lot. But the density of this area for multifamily use for that large of a building, for a 2-story building, is very concerning. When I stand on my street and look down and I imagine about what 5 acres will be, there's probably less than 25 people that live there in that area. But then when I imagine 150 to 200 people living on a small area, it's just going to be extremely congested for these individuals to live there, regardless of whether they're low income, whether they're working at the new battery plant, whether they're working at Chrysler, whether they're working at Delphi, or what's left of it, General Motors. If wherever they're working, it doesn't matter who lives there. One of the things that concerns me is the density of how many people are going to be on that little 5 acres. Really is not a whole lot of land when you look at it. It really isn't. And that's why I mentioned the lot just south of the church, because that is just under 5 acres, so that the residents who live all back there will know. And again, where are the children? Where are you guys going to put a playground for these children that are going to be living there? All of us who lived in that neighborhood, we had yards. These children, or any apartment complex that goes there, are not going to have a place for that many units for the children to play. That's all. Thank you.
Sherry Beaver. I live at 3140 Villas Drive South. I'm on the board of Villas West too. And I cannot tell you the multiple letters that have been sent by our association attorney, Jeff Lowry, to Autumn Trace for damages. They cut our fence numerous times. We've spent hundreds and hundreds of dollars them repairing our fence because the kids either climbed it. We had to plant trees and bushes along the west of the fence to keep them out. Then they resorted to cutting the fence. So I just want you to know there are problems with Autumn Trace.
Thank you.
I'm short. Carolyn Beach, 790 Willow Ridge Drive. And I just want to say that I think we need to stay focused on the property that we're talking about, these, what is it, 16 acres? No, it's not. It's 5 acres, isn't it? Yeah. We have 16 acres behind where I live on Willow Ridge, and we wouldn't want to have that many people living back there. It's not the people that is our problem. I don't think anyone in this room denies or wants to deny anyone the right to live wherever they want to live and can afford to live. But I worked for 33 years in Kokomo for the school system teaching adult education, GED. Some of you are familiar with that. And I had many of the low income people in my classes. And I supported them 100% in everything that they did. I went to court for some of them. And I visited in the funeral homes for several of them. And I love those people, and I think all of us feel the same way. It's not that we don't want those people in our neighborhood. We don't want that area rezoned, period. And I just hope that the board will consider the feeling of all of the people that have come out tonight and last week and so forth. We deserve to be able to live where we want to live. I've lived in that neighborhood for almost 50 years. We were the fourth house built in Western Woods, and we lived there until we moved and built a house in Villas West. So we love that area, and I know that there have been Autumnwood problems, but that's not the people that live there. A lot of times they're people that come into there to visit and various things. So don't belittle the people that don't have anything. We're not here to do that. We're here to just ask you to keep the zoning as it is right now. And thank you very much.
Thank you. Anyone else in the audience have a new point they want to bring up?
My name's Rick Warner. I live at 3105 Carter Street South. I live directly across the field from this 5-acre property, and I definitely don't want these people having children run loose like the Autumn Trace people do and have ever. I've lived out there for 13 years, and I've had children. There's a woods behind my house. It's about 2 acres, and I find children from Autumn Trace down there in my woods all the time, and we've had people breaking in the garages. The garage doors are left open, and so don't let Mr. Wyman pull your leg and tell you that there was nothing ever happened with Autumn Trace.
Sir, address your up here, please.
Okay. So that being said, I want to go back to the property where Gateway Gardens is. This gentleman here says that we'd have to tear out steam pipes to rebuild, and it would cost so much money to tear them down. So what? Tear them down and tear out the steam pipes and rebuild it where Gateway Gardens is. That's ridiculous. You got the property, you got all the amenities, tear them down 4 or 5 at a time, 2 or 3 at a time, and rebuild them right where they are. Instead of scattering these people all over Kokomo in different locations is ridiculous. Build it where they are now, give them a nice new place to live, and they'll be happy. You know.
Thank you.
You'll have to excuse me, either the New York smoke or sinus has got my voice tonight. So I'm Ron Tomlinson. I live at 803 Riverview. I am a realtor. I've been in the business 58 years. People buy a house for quality of life. And I don't see, unfortunately, we haven't seen the plans. Nobody's showed us the plans. They've not been published. But, I'm sorry? Okay. We haven't seen the plans of this project, so I can't speak to you about green space. But there should be quite adequate green space with this project. I was raised in the South End. I passed papers at Garden Square for 2.5 years. I'm 80 years old, so I'm just an old poop up here carrying on. A lot of people don't want to hear, but anyway. Some of my best friends were raised at Garden Square. One became a judge. Another good friend locally became a prominent attorney. there's a lot of opportunity for these people, and they should be afforded the opportunity. But they should not have to be forced to be bused home and live in a building without a place for the kids to play or a place for them to have some free space. It's just, to me, that's as bad as living almost in a bad place. I think these people deserve and they should have good housing. I think there should be a quality of life to this housing. And if not, you're denying them, not a new home, you're denying them quality of life. They're saying the trolley could probably go out there to the city. Gateway Gardens is 90 years old. Are we going to have a trolley in 90 years? It just doesn't make sense to me to put something this density on that size of plot. I know at Gateway the fathers back then had some foreseeable foresight because there is green space. I passed the A, B, and C row, and kids were playing constantly between the buildings. They throwing footballs, playing. They even had a wading pool with a fountain. They could play in the summer, and they had it for what it was. They had an opportunity to enjoy where they live. But people buy homes because of quality of life. Location, 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 yes. But quality of life is the reason they really go in there. They judge this home on, can we live here comfortably? Can it afford us what we need? These people deserve new housing. Gateway Gardens is old. But I think they deserve more than just put it on a little plat of land that's going to be parking space and a building and very little less for them to enjoy it. Thank you.
Mr. Shoeline, you want to explain what this board does, please?
Sure. Before I do that, I'm old enough and I'm vested, so I think I can say whatever I want.
That's not true.
So I'm going to do that. Sorry, TJ. I'm going to do that at this time, but that's not about what's happening tonight. What I want to say is, I'm going to stand up for my office. I've gotten a lot of calls in the last month that the Planning Commission and my staff are picking these sites, and that is absolutely not true. We do not pick sites. We've never done that. We never will do that, but it's our job to bring this before the public. And the gentleman before, I can't think of his name, I apologize, he touched on this. Thank God that we live in a country where this sort of thing is possible. Regardless of how the outcome is tonight, there's a lot of countries that this would never be allowed. So let's thank God tonight when we go home that we live in a country where this type of setting is possible, regardless how it comes. But I just want to stand up for, and this board has, they don't have any input on where this site is. It was chosen, it's our job to bring it before the public, and that's what we're doing. With that being said, thank you for allowing me to say that. When the president calls for the vote, TJ, correct me if I'm wrong, this board does not make the final decision on the rezoning tonight. This board will either vote yes and send a favorable recommendation to the city council, or they will vote no, and there will be an unfavorable recommendation going to the city council. The city council actually has the final vote on any rezonings because it's a change to the zoning ordinance. So regardless of what the vote is tonight, I don't want to have anyone leaving the room with the misconception that this was passed or not passed, okay? City council has final vote on this. Is that?
Yeah, the only thing I would add is that if it's favorable, it automatically goes to city
Correct.
council, certified, and if it's unfavorable, then there is an appeal process, but that can be the final stage
Correct.
depending on further actions.
Okay. To address some of your questions, such as green space, playgrounds, trolley stops, sidewalks, has nothing to do with this vote here tonight. I have no idea how you don't vote. It's not where this is taken care of. They're simply saying, here's some land, and we want it rezoned for this reason. If it goes on, then it goes on down the line, and all those things are looked at and considered. So those are very good points. This board does not get, that's not us. Not at this meeting. So what we're voting on tonight, this board is voting to forward this with a, like Greg said, a recommendation, favorable recommendation to city council or non-favorable. So if anybody got any questions about what I just said, I'll be more than happy to answer, but I want you to understand what everybody's voting for. Any questions from the board before I call for a vote?
John Sonnerfrank, 3017 West Carter Street. What do you base your decision on then?
Everything that was said, will it fit? Basically on this committee, I hope that we get the citizens out here and we ask the right questions so that everything comes to the surface and everybody understands everything. So when it goes to city council, people's had time to think about it, understand it. A lot of times something goes through and none of the questions are asked. We are a fact-finding committee right now is what we're doing. We're trying to find out everything involved. So.
Well, you just said you don't look at a whole lot of things.
We don't decide today on a lot of things. Today, we have tunnel vision right here today. We have to say, is this property, can this property be rezoned for what they're asking to be rezoned for?
Can this property support what the zoning is requested for?
Okay.
The specifics and things of that nature are held at a same place, same people, different venue.
They're all important.
Yeah.
But we don't consider them here.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay? Thank you. That being said, I'll call for a vote. All in favor of case P08Z23, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
No.
Roll call, please.
Ms. Parker?
No.
Ms. Durham?
Aye.
Ms. Stover?
Nay.
Mr. Graves?
Aye.
Ms. Jefferson?
Aye.
Ms. Rule?
No.
Mr. Grieco?
Aye.
Mr. Pike?
Aye.
It's 5-3, so the president does not have to vote. Is that correct?
Correct.
So it does, this
Final
will,
tally is
5-3.
5 to
This will
3.
move forward with a favorable recommendation.
the motion passes. It goes to the city council and will be presented there by Councilman Grieco. Can't hear you, Jimmy.
Next city council
Okay.
meeting
Could you give that to the lady at the end, because that's her job to take care of it.
I think we just have to go out. You can check with Mr. Grady and share, but I think it's here.
Poor fat Mike.
Ask.
How are you?
I'm fine, thank you.
Good.
Thank you.
Oh, yeah, he was around here somewhere. I think he took off already.
He used mine. He used mine once, but I was looking at the property.
Thank you, sir, I appreciate it. Have a good one.
Oh, yes. Mr. Grady is the only rep in city council.
We have other cases.
Yeah.
Gentleman on the end can probably tell you.
Mr. Grieco, is he still legal?
First and
Yeah, we're still.
I think we're on this place. Wow. 39.
26.
I had at the BZA meeting, I had to go.
Yeah, probably.
Hey, folks,
Couldn't hear.
folks, I know there's a lot of people, but if you could disperse quickly, we have 7 other cases we have to hear tonight, so we would appreciate it. Thank you.
Okay.
wonder how many phone calls I get tonight.
Brent,
I want to give a 10-minute speech, but I'm not an elected official. But I bring home $92 a month.
well, I'm gonna be honest with you.
For city council, you need to rent all your days off for it.
I mean, he did.
He did. I mean, he made a very good point, because no matter what they said out there,
Notice they're all leaving it, don't care about the other stuff.
not everything, which is fine. Every time they came up with something, what I heard was, we just don't want these people out here. And I hate that. And that's why I voted against, because I was like, dude,
I just think we still I think it's a good idea. Yep.
I keep feeding everybody else. Nobody run with the ball when I hand it off to them.
I want to know what am I missing?
it's considerably larger than, density-wise, this project. I mean, I've seen the conceptual plan. They have a different playground, they have plenty of green space. It's a more desirable project from my perspective than my drive-through at Big Garden.
Pound the gap.
I think
When you're thinking about how many parking places you have, not counting whether they're all going to be straight in or parallel, because of course the parallel speaks of ADA spots out there. When you consider all of that, and that he said he was going to lower, but this paper he gave us is higher than the original number he gave us.
Well, you can't put in more than 50.
Oh, well, this is 58.
Because that's what we just rezoned it to. You can't be more than 50.
Oh, well, this is 58 on this paper.
John, would you shut them doors for us? All right.
I just made it like this. 50%.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay.
Director Sheila, next on the agenda, please.
Next case is case P09Z23, petition of Advantage Development Corporation requesting the Kokomo City Plan Commission petition and recommend to the Kokomo Common Council for change in zone classification from MI moderate intensity industrial to M3 large scale multifamily residential. This is a 1411 North Market Street.
Move for approve.
Second.
Someone here to represent this case, please step forward.
President, I need to recuse myself based on personal conflicts of interest.
No problem. Thank you very much. Thank you. Noted.
Brandon Shields again. You need an address again and everything?
No.
Okay. Can I say ditto times 7? Because I'm all the rest of it on here too. So, so same thing, same project. Just so I would open it up. Kind of go from there. Any questions?
I don't have a question. Can I make a comment? Is that okay?
Sure.
At some point, I think it would be good to address some of our citizens' concerns. Just tonight's not the forum because we are just looking at the zoning, but it's going to come up, right? And to have more of a presentation available for them to ease their mind on some of their concerns would be super helpful. Does anybody agree with me on this?
I agree with you wholeheartedly.
Thank you. That's just my recommendation. And I know you already have your presence in this community, but obviously this particular, or the prior cases site is, a little bit more heartfelt to some people.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
I would like to add that as far as this board's concerned, when I receive a presentation, I like to know how many units are there. I like to know how many bedrooms, 1 bedroom, 2 bedroom, 3 bedroom. I like to know square footage. I like to know what's the size of the building, how tall is it, a 1-story building, 2-story building.
Correct.
I need information to understand what you're trying to present.
Okay.
And I have none of that on any of these cases.
There have been quite a few changes. A lot of things happen over the past couple of weeks, obviously. So it's kind of a moving target. But we have submitted some plans, and I will get you any additional information that I can possibly get.
what you don't understand is these people on this board, they have daily jobs, okay? And we get our information, thank goodness for his staff, they work with us to give it. We need that, it's nice to have it before so we can look at it and, you know, consider what's going on. But when we don't get, you know, nothing, that's not good.
Sir.
I would like to add too, there's nothing more than hearing these people moving that burns me up. They are residents of Garden Square, and we are only voting on can the land support the project. That was my nay. We had none of that. They do deserve it. They deserve another opportunity. They deserve a new place to live. They deserve all of those things. But we don't have anything, I didn't tonight, to say yes. And that would have been incredibly helpful.
So everything that everybody's saying up here, it's also going to be critical to us when we get to the development plan and the plat meetings. If you want that to move through quickly, there's still 2 or 3 other meetings that we have to go through to get to that point. But if you want that to move quickly, to have all that information in a well-prepared presentation is going to help tremendously. If not, you're going to be bogged down with question after question after question, revision after revision after revision in order to get those questions and answers figured out before that comes back to this board.
Well, I'll be honest with you, if you don't have that information, you'll never get back to this board because I won't let you. So, plat committee, I'll just stop it. We'll just continue it right there. So, you know, I understand from the zoning perspective, and I have seen your drawings, so I probably have more information than most people up here. I have very little information on, as far as the details and how things are gonna work out. You know, mostly you've given a conceptual plan thus far. So I've seen how the layout's gonna be, where the parking's gonna be, where the playground, there is gonna be a playground.
Yes, sir.
My perspective is that there's more room than people think that there's gonna be. So, but, that being said, and I've exchanged a couple emails with you, if I don't get the details,
Understood.
it stops dead. So,
Understood. This it's a very complex situation for sure. It's not a matter of just not doing the work. It's just there's a lot of parties involved. There's a lot of third-party contractors that we work with, and architects spend tens of thousands of dollars and a lot of time trying to get these plans correct and make sure that they work for all communities. And it's a process for sure. It's a very expensive process. And it's a very time-consuming process, so we're very aware of the timelines and the guidelines. So apologies for anything that has seemed a little lackadaisical. It's not what we're looking to do at all. It's just again, it's a very tight timeline with what we're working for both these projects. So there are 2 separate deadlines for both of them.
Makes me even more nervous to hear about.
Understood.
This board doesn't look at what fits for all communities. There's not a one-size-fits-all for
Correct.
anything that ever happens in this world. We're concerned about what happens and what works for Kokomo, Indiana.
Correct.
So that's what we need to tailor to, and that's what John's alluding to. If it doesn't tailor to Kokomo, we're dead.
Sir.
I would also add that from a council perspective, to receive a favorable vote on this in the next 2 council meetings, there's going to have to be much more of a presentation made to council than was made tonight. It just, I don't believe it will turn out the way you want if the presentation is as it was today.
Sir.
I have a housing authority question. I have a voucher question.
Give me to state my name again?
No.
Okay.
Now, let me tell you what I think, and then you tell me, poke the holes in it, and give me the 3rd grade vision. I don't want the whole 9 yards. It's my understanding that if it's a privately based housing development, the vouchers go with the building and stay with the building. Now, what I can't read, if you start out as 100% voucher, does that private entity do they ever change that from a 100%? Not counting the match, I'm not asking what the match the people say. Is there anything to that?
Yeah, so unfortunately, the answer is yes and no, but I will try to explain.
Okay.
So there are multiple different types of vouchers that the Housing Authority issues. When we're talking about these projects that are before this commission, we're talking about construction of units that are tied directly to existing assistance that is currently public housing. Upon the completion of what is called a RAD conversion, rental assistance demonstration conversion, that public housing entity will no longer exist. It will no longer be funded by the federal government under low-income public housing. All the assistance for those 175 units, and I apologize, it's a long explanation, will be transferred to a project-based voucher, PBV. That will be a new construction ultimately, and all 175 previously public housing assisted units will now become 175 project-based vouchers. In this instance, those project-based vouchers do stay with the unit, and they will stay with the unit for at least 40 years, but HUD's goal is that it'll be in perpetuity, and we will obviously, as the Housing Authority, make every effort to do that. There is a little bit of an out for us. If the project is no longer viable in 40 years, we can try to transfer those assistance to another project. But our goal and HUD's goal is not to limit or reduce the number of assisted properties in Kokomo unless there becomes a time in the future where that assistance is no longer needed. But the voucher does stay with the unit with a minor, I don't want to say an exception, but a caveat that after 1 year, after an individual has lived in the unit for 1 year, they're then eligible for what's called choice mobility. That individual can then apply with the Housing Authority for a choice mobility voucher that they can then take to any other.
That gives that person an opportunity to go, they keep their voucher, and if they want to move
They,
forward, move out.
they have to be in good state and everything, but the key is they don't keep the voucher. That voucher stays with the unit. They are then given another voucher, a housing choice mobility, assuming we have the stock in a choice mobility, assuming we have the stock and funds in our housing choice voucher program, which is separate than the project-based voucher program. It is complicated.
I've had a lot of friends that live in Gateway Gardens, and I've been in those. And I'm for anything that gets in people better housing, period.
I appreciate that, and that has been a goal of mine. And if I may have just one opportunity to speak to the density issue, it is something that has been a priority of mine since I took over the Housing Authority in 2020. My goal has been to lessen the density of poverty in our community. Right now, Garden Square is a little over 8 acres with 175 units on it. The density there is over 20 units per acre. The density at the West Sycamore is going to be about 9 units per acre. And the density, which is very high at the Webster, is still going to be less than that 20 units per acre. My goal has always been to reduce that density. People living on top of people does not benefit that community. It doesn't benefit our community. So lowering that density is very important for me, and it's, I believe, very important for our residents at Garden Square.
Mr. Steele?
Yes.
I would just say that what we're doing here is important. It's important to be able to offer a better life to the families that we're serving. But what you're explaining here right now is part of what should have been explained earlier tonight. And I need you guys to put together this type of a presentation and more to be able to explain to council and the people that are coming to talk. And I realize we're not going to change everybody's mind at this meeting. A lot of that's frankly going to be something that if the project's able to go forward, their minds are going to change when they see that the problems that they believe are going to happen aren't really going to be as bad as they think it's going to be. But we need more.
And I do. I appreciate that. I want to apologize if the position that we've taken as the Housing Authority has somehow hindered this, but the position that we've taken over these 2 meetings is we are not the petitioner, and we don't have an actual benefit or interest in these properties yet. But as far as this whole project is concerned, that is the ultimate goal. So as not being the petitioner, I'm trying not to kind of muddy that line of who's asking for this, who it's benefiting. So today I very much tried to speak as a member of the audience as opposed to standing up for the petition. But I understand since those issues are of concern, particularly in front of the council and in front of the plan development, I will make sure that we have either added to the Advantix presentation our own separate presentation. The other thing is with both the or zoning variances and today's, it was also our position that these greater issues were things beyond really what the scope of the question was. So we were trying not to, again, muddy the waters of what the actual issues were.
We appreciate that, but we all also know that that line gets pretty blurry
Yeah.
sometimes.
And we understand that, but
They
the
do.
audience may not, and like it was pointed out, this is the time to have that voice, so.
Well, and again, that you two are gonna be so tightly bound together in this to,
You're a petitioner by proxy if nothing.
yes.
At this point, yes.
And look at using projectors. They're available, put together PowerPoint, something. You can throw in your concept plan to be able to, the one gentleman brought up green space. Right here's a park, right here's a pool or whatever you're gonna put in.
No pools, insurance won't allow it.
But whatever you're gonna put on that property to be able to represent that and show that is gonna be critical.
We just want to see best foot forward, the best information get to the members of the council so that a good decision is ultimately made.
Absolutely.
Good discussion, folks, but we need to move on.
Yeah, you were hungry when we started,
I was
weren't you,
hungry when we
Greg?
started,
Yeah.
it's 7 o'clock.
There's no question for the board, we're gonna go to staff report.
Yes, staff report. For case P09Z23, Ted Martin of Advantix Development Corporation is requesting a change in zone classification for the property address listed above. This property will be used as an apartment building according to this current city of Kokomo zoning ordinance. In an M3 zone district, multifamily usage is permitted. However, for 50 units or more, a special exception is required. The adjoining properties are as follows. The zonings: to the north, MI, moderate intensity industrial, light manufacturing; to the south, C2, medium to large scale commercial; and LI, low intensity industrial business park; to the east, R4, urban residential; and to the west, HI, high intensity industrial, heavy manufacturing; and LI, low intensity industrial business park. According to the City of Kokomo zoning ordinance, the M3 zoning district is compatible with all adjoining property zones except the HI zoning district. According to the City of Kokomo Comprehensive Plan Future Land Use Map, the property shown above is located in an area proposed for office, high-tech, light industrial. This area is shown by Market Street as the violet, light purple area in the screenshot to your left. Office, high-tech, light industrial is classified as employment centers that utilize medium to large-scale buildings with medium to large-scale parking lots. Also, these facilities have low traffic, environmental, or aesthetic impact on surrounding areas. However, this area is bordered by the R4 urban residential zoning district. Land use goals encourage orderly and responsible development to promote health, safety, and quality of life for residents in the City of Kokomo while maintaining Kokomo as a leading community for affordable housing. Relevant land use objectives are to encourage adequate land for residential, commercial, industrial, institutional, and recreational uses, designate specific districts in the community suitable for residential, commercial, industrial, institutional, and residential uses. The goal of the City of Kokomo Comprehensive Plan Transportation Map is to enhance connections throughout the city for improved safety, function, and efficiency for all modes of transportation, including vehicular, bicycle, and pedestrian networks. According to the transportation map, this area of North Market Street is defined as a local street, which is a street designed primarily to provide access to abutting properties and discourage through traffic. The traffic count for this area of North Market and North Street is 5,215 cars. The requested zoning variance is compatible with all surrounding zonings except the HI zoning district. However, there is existing HI zones that border this property. Therefore, the staff desires the board forward a favorable recommendation to the Kokomo Common Council.
Any questions from the board? Now we've had staff report.
Yes. Are these, one story, two story? Are they brick, are they wood? Do they have carports? Do they have garages?
Yes, no, yes, no, yes, yes.
Okay.
These are 3-story, I believe, our latest plans, 3-story. They will be a combination of vinyl and stone.
What else?
Stone, masonry. And then as far as carports, no carports, no garages. What else you asked me?
Square footage,
I will get those to you for sure.
1, 2, 3-bedroom units?
They are, there's a sheet, the sheet has it, yes.
All the above.
All the above.
2 and 3 at
Oh,
Market.
1 and 2, 1 and 2 bedrooms.
1 and 2 there, correct.
For a
bad, I
total
didn't
of
have my glasses
117,
That's okay.
for a total of 117 units?
Across the,
That's what you had.
yes, yes.
Do you know the square footage of those units?
I don't have them with me now, sorry.
Are there any of your developments currently in town that are comparable to size to this one?
Not as big, but I will reference Trailside. Trailside has a combination of 4 different types of
Which one? Which?
Trailside townhomes. Union,
Both
South
sides?
South Union.
Yeah.
Yes. Those are going to be the taller apartment style.
What was the acreage on that? Do you remember?
I'm sorry.
What
So
was the acreage on that?
I don't.
4.23.
On Trailside.
Yeah. I'm just trying to get a bit, like, in my head, we've got 4 acres right now, and we're talking about 117 units at 3-story.
Plus parking.
He just addressed the density. Correct. This is triple.
Yes.
That's gonna be on the
Yeah,
west side in density. That's,
Yeah. It is.
that's the problem.
What's your problem?
Correct. So Trailside is, just to compare, I'm trying to think, how many acres Trailside sits on right now on Union?
I'm
And that's
trying to
2
find it.
parking places per unit, 234 parking places. That's ADA.
Do we know what the address is for Trailside?
It's like, is it 3?
There it is.
John's zoning in.
I'm sorry?
John's got it, I think.
0.75 acres on Union.
And then there's two of them, so.
The one across the street is 0.76 acres.
It's for the North Market. For the North Market project, it's 90 on the market parcel that runs down to east north. It's 117 total for the project. That's the difference on those.
Okay, where
Yeah, the other one's on the scattered sites.
Sycamore Springs has the scattered sites.
Okay.
The Sycamore site has 2 different projects on it. It will be split in half and will have 2 separate projects on it. And then the scattered sites will fill the rest of the Sycamore Springs project. Sycamore Springs is a 9% LIHTC deal, and North Market is a 4%. 4% is where you have the larger scale. You have 2, 3-story apartment style buildings where you can build 100, 150 units.
But
That 9%
90
is,
units on Market Street.
yes, yes.
On 2
Sorry,
parking.
thank you, Sean.
We're looking at, which is just not a lot though, 0.28 acres, 4 point.
What's that called?
So your paper says it's all on North Market, but our staff report does not. It just concerns me.
That's,
I
The
will.
reports we have in front of us don't match and they're not accurate.
I will get the updated set of plans tomorrow, and I will get those out for everybody. They're the ones that were. Sorry.
I'll give you a little insight, okay? Whatever the development is on North Washington Street,
Market. I'm sorry. What street?
on North Washington behind Kentucky Fried Chicken,
I'm trying to find that.
that 45, does anybody know, is that 45 units? Is that? Well, I'll give, everything you guys tell me, the first thing I do is go home and look online or go back over there and drive and set and compare it, because to me, that was it's there, it's okay, but you can't go, I don't think you can put any more on the same amount of land, no matter where it's at.
And how many are currently on that one?
45, I think.
1.48 acres.
Concerns.
1.4 acres.
But that, I'm just trying to my
The
yard
one,
stick.
the one on Washington
Yeah,
is
when they give it, when
1.48
they go,
acres.
I go,
We should not be doing
we should.
And what are we looking at on market, 5 acres?
Market total, do you have that, Brandon?
What's that? I'm sorry.
What's the acreage on market for the 1411 market?
The parcel that we'll have will be split down the middle, so we'll end up having about 2.5, and then it will slide down and grab the east-north. So it will be a total of, I believe, about 3.25 acres. It'll form an L shape at the convenience store owner.
Just thinking out loud on the Market Street, when you contacted the owner, did he only want to sell you that half of the land? That west side of the land, or?
He has no place to move his business to. He had something in mind, but it did not work out. So he needs storage still. He needs First Star Building Supply. He's got a lot of, obviously, quite a bit of products there.
What he's got is outside storage.
Yes. So
Is there a reason why the outside storage isn't over by the trail and the development is on Market Street is my question.
that is a preference of his. He preferred to keep that parcel. And then I believe the walking trail factored into our decision as well. We wanted the whole entire parcel.
I'm just gonna say it out loud.
Go for it.
If you're gonna build that many apartments, and you're gonna put it on a plot of land that's got, I don't know what's in that building, some railroad tracks, a bicycle path, and boom, a whole bunch of apartments. And then boom, I'll have a parking lot and
Access.
yeah, I mean, you're asking for trouble. Well, that's just the way I see it. So I was just wondering if that was an option to have the Market Street front. And
Well, we're hoping that the east-north parcel will help filter everybody through the property a proper way to where it's not problematic to anything or anybody.
So the rezoning, this is probably a question for you. M3, does it allow 90?
No, it's special exception.
Up to 50.
Up to 50?
The special exception is still pending.
Special exception is still
Right.
pending. They continued that.
So anything we pass tonight would be
It's
subject to,
contingent.
whether they get 90 or not, it still has to go to the BZA.
It's contingent.
That was
that
my
the
point.
BZA passes
Yep.
special exception. Correct.
So we would be passing something that would allow 50.
Yes.
Now, they have the hopes of getting it up to 90. But
That's my concern, that's not what's been presented to us. That's not what's been presented to us by the developer.
This is for, there's no special exception until next month, but that's not your problem.
Yeah.
Your
No, it
problem
isn't.
is, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Is it a
Yep.
permitted use up to 50 units?
Yes.
It's Mike's problem.
Do we need to
and
make
my problem, I'm one person. One person, one
And
vote.
it's all on market, it doesn't say that we're splitting that lot, it doesn't say where we're going. That's what concerns me.
BZA is
It
typically.
says 117
Well,
units on
right.
North Market
PC,
Street,
the
that's
PC
what
flat.
he presented to us, not from Greg's office, from Advantage.
Dear, I'm with you all the way.
And that concerns me,
It does me too.
because what else is presented that's gonna be accurate is not prepared to get a vote.
Even the Sycamore Springs was totally different than what he was approved for.
I am sorry. I'm not doing it.
If I may, Mr. Besser. You had a question about the apartments just east of the KFC. That was based upon property records. It's plumbed for 51 units. That makes it on 1.48 acres, essentially 34.46 per acre. If we do the 90 and 3.8 at North Market, that's at 23, and I apologize for my earlier statement. That is slightly higher than 3. I had a different number for the acreage for the North Market. I had that.
This is my concern. We all have been waiting to be presented information to make a knowledgeable vote, and we are not given that information, and now we've been given information 3 different times. I don't know what I'm voting for tonight
You're voting, you're,
on the numbers.
yeah, you're,
I read
you're
your
voting for
report.
50 units is what you're voting tonight.
That's not what I was given.
I understand, but I'm just
That's
saying.
the problem.
That's what you're voting for tonight, and then at next month's BZA meeting, then the Board of Zoning Appeals will look at the special exception as to whether to give them the extra units or not,
Correct.
correct?
Yes. Whether or not it fits, Kelly is also at the development and plat as well, so
I'm just
we have
frustrated that that's not the number I'm looking
100%.
at, so I just have to take somebody's word for it when we're asking to develop multiple areas in Howard County.
100%, but
Every
we,
case deserves the same amount of time that 2-hour case just took, and we don't have that time because the people aren't here. So I want to be the voice for that.
100%, but we still get 2 other opportunities to
I hear you.
review and hold them to the fire, I guess.
Is the existing gateway on some kind of a time limit? Are we in a rush here? Go ahead.
Well, no, it's essentially the reason why there is a rush is funding from the federal government. On Gateway Gardens, well, when we had 5 public housing properties, which included Pine Valley and Garden Square in 46902, we received funding for 275 units for the AMP 46902. That funding was a little bit over $1 million a year to upkeep the property. Because we are down to 175 and the way that the funding works and what's allotted for by Congress, the funding to upkeep Garden Square annually is a little bit over $400,000. Each of the last 2 years on steam line repairs alone, we have spent well over $250,000. That leaves very little on other upkeep, maintenance, day-to-day operations. So we also are operating at a deficit in our public housing program, anticipating that we will not have a public housing program in the next few years. And again, that's all because of federal funding and a push by HUD to remove public housing. The HUD has made a determination, they made that determination back in early 2000s, that it was more cost effective for them to fund vouchers as opposed to public housing management. And so they've slowly but surely lessened the amounts received under public housing in an effort to encourage public housing, housing authorities to get out of the business of public housing and into the business of vouchers.
To Mr. Besser's question about timing, timing is critical.
Timing is critical. If we do not find a way to relocate individuals out of Garden Square, we will not be able to maintain safe and efficient housing for those individuals within the next 2 to 3 years. Simply because of.
Your applications are due in July, right?
Correct.
All right, and if you don't hit that deadline,
Yes,
you've
that-
got to have it rezoned
Yes.
to apply, right?
Yes, so the question
Let's
of.
cut to the chase here.
Yeah, so the question of, does the housing authority have a timeline? Yes, we need to get out of public housing. The timeline of why this is critical is because the applications for tax credits are due in the beginning of July.
All right.
So
And
all
without the tax
rezoning,
credits, the funding's
variances,
not
and
available.
special
That deadline
exceptions
existed.
have to be in place for you to apply for that, correct? Okay.
And you can speak to the letter you need.
The 4% applications, which is North Market, is due July the 3rd, July 31st, and for 9%, which is Sycamore Springs. And we do have to have favorable letter recommendations for both projects, saying that zoning and certain things are in place before we can proceed. Yes.
Which concerns me that we weren't more prepared if it's that urgent.
For the 4%, no developer in Indiana is prepared because IHCDA didn't release any guidance until February. So nobody knew, so we're all operating on the same rush time frame. 9%, we've been working to try to figure out the best sites for 9 months, at least 9 months. There's a process of elimination that goes on, quite frankly, with some of the larger sites. Just trying to figure out what's in a QCT, what qualifies, what doesn't. You can't just go get vacant farmland
You can
and.
bring numbers and you can bring accurate information for us here tonight.
Yes, ma'am.
I understand the rush and I understand deadlines and I understand no one found out until.
Well, I think people's having trouble getting their hands on how to vote, Greg. I think we wanted to go, but.
I understand, but
Let's vote.
it's pretty simple. We're voting for 50 units.
Okay.
I mean,
That's what it boils down to.
we're voting for 50 units. That's what this board is voting on tonight.
50 units on 4 acres.
50 units on 4 acres. And then if that goes through, then it'll be contingent that the BZA gives a special exception for more units.
Any questions from the audience on this case?
Okay. When is the BZA meeting? Next month, you said?
Next month.
Every month, July 5th.
July 5th.
July
So it's
5th.
after the,
Yeah, hello.
it's after the deadline anyway.
Any questions from the audience? Any other questions or discussion from the board before I call for a vote? Hearing none, I'll call for a vote. All in favor of case P09Z23, please signify by saying aye.
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 All opposed?
Nay.
Nay.
Roll call vote, please.
Ms. Barker,
Nay.
Ms. Durham,
Aye.
Ms. Stover,
Nay.
Mr. Graves,
Aye.
Ms. Jefferson,
Nay.
Ms. Rule.
Recused.
Oh, that's right, I'm sorry, thank you. Apologize. Mr. Graycue,
Aye.
Mr. Pike.
Aye.
We have 4 to 3 with a recuse, so Mr. Besser, you will have to vote, my understanding, right? TJ?
Good question.
We don't have a quorum of those.
I think you do, because you have a quorum once you, if we have one member absent, that number would count. I'll vote.
I have 4, Greg. You have 1.
I mean, we have
So
a
you need
quorum.
5 members when 8 or 9 members are present, and Ms. Rule's counted as absent based upon her recusal.
So that's 8.
That's 8.
So we still
That's
need,
8, so you need 5,
we need 5 votes
which
to,
means Mr. Besser will have to vote.
Even though I'll probably never know none more.
You gotta vote how you wanna vote, Mike.
Aye.
so it passes 5 to 3.
Motion carries. It now goes to city council. Will be presented there by Councilman Griecu. Director Sheila, next case, please.
Mr. Besser, I implore that we take a 2-minute break.
So moved.
Thank you.
Second.
I have to use the ladies' room.
As far as I'm concerned, yes.
Okay. Okay, we ready?
I mean, as long as there's not a distinction between them.
They all pretty much the same. We just roll them into one conglomerate and vote once.
That's TJ. That's a TJ question.
What? If there's no appreciable difference between all these, can we roll them into one vote?
No.
we have to go through every
we can
damn
move
one?
quickly.
Okay.
We've gotta get through our findings, that's why Greg needs.
Okay.
Yeah, we need to
Yeah,
train
the
along.
findings have to be. The staff report has to be approved.
Yeah,
Yeah,
It's okay.
I agree.
well, we can move quickly.
I should have brought the pizzas, I'm sorry.
I told you last time.
That was your job.
Okay, so we're ready for case P10Z23, is that correct?
Yes,
Is
sir.
that where we're at? Okay, next case is case P10Z23, petition to Advantage Development Corporation requesting the Kokomo City Plan Commission petition to recommend the Kokomo Common Council for a change in zone classification from R4 medium density urban residential to R5 for property at 1312 North Market Street.
Move for approval. Second.
Anyone here to represent this case, please step forward.
Me again.
Short summary, please.
Duplexes and triplexes. This is part of our Sycamore Springs project, where we're taking the tax sale and BEP lots. Some of the lots that are contiguous, we would try to combine those and put duplex or triplex on there to help our economies of scale.
Thank you.
Any questions from the board before we have staff report? Director Sheeline, staff report, please.
Staff report for case P10Z23, Tim Martin Advantage Development Corporation requested change in zone classification for the property address above. This property will be used as triplex housing according to the current City of Kokomo zoning ordinance. In the R5 zone, multifamily 4 units or less is a permitted use with a special exception. Adjoining properties, zonings to the north, R4 urban residential, to the south, R4 urban residential, to the east, R4 urban residential and IS institutional, to the west, MI moderate intensity industrial, and C2 medium to large scale general commercial. According to the City of Kokomo Comprehensive Plan Future Land Use Map, the property shown above is located in an area proposed for medium density residential. This area is shown by Market Street as the dark yellow area in the screenshot to your left. Medium density residential is single family housing of varying types between 3 to 6 units per acre. Typical medium density housing would be single family detached, duplexes, triplexes, condominiums, townhouses, and cluster housing. Land use goals to encourage orderly and responsible development to promote health, safety, and quality of life of residents in the City of Kokomo while maintaining Kokomo as a leading community for affordable housing. Relevant land use objectives are to encourage adequate land for residential, commercial, industrial, institutional, and recreational uses. Designate specific districts in the community suitable for residential, commercial, industrial, institutional, and recreational uses. City of Kokomo Comprehensive Plan Transportation Map is to enhance connections throughout the city for improved safety, function, and efficiency for all modes of transportation, including vehicular, bicycle, and pedestrian networks. According to the transportation map, this area of North Market Street is defined as a local street, which is a street designed primarily to provide access to abutting properties and discourage through traffic. Traffic count for this area of North Market is 5,215 cars. Requested zoning change is compatible with all adjacent zonings except the C2 zoning district. However, there is an existing C2 zone that neighbors this property. Therefore, the staff desires that the board forward a favorable recommendation to the Kokomo Common Council.
Any questions from the board? Now we've had staff report.
Yes, this is one triplex unit.
Correct.
Yes. How many stories?
1, 3 bedroom, generally 1,200 square feet, 3 bedrooms.
All over 3 bedrooms?
Yes.
Any variances for the side lot size or that?
Any other questions from the board? Any questions from the audience?
No, you're fine.
No.
This isn't, my name's Rosa Chavez, and do I have to give my address?
Yes.
1137 East Broadway Street. I'm
not sure if this was related to me. I received 2 cards from the city of Kokomo, and I thought you guys got the wrong address because I have a property at 315 North Purdom Street, and this card says 312. And I received the letter the same day, so I don't know if I'm supposed to be here. I don't know if you guys want to.
Well, let's see what the,
It's for a different case.
There's 1215 North Purdom, that's a
yeah, we got a
case
North
upcoming.
Purdom coming up.
And we also have a 312 North Purdom.
Mine property is 315, and this one says 312.
Yeah, you're an adjoining
Correct.
property owner, so anytime you're an adjoining property
Oh.
owner, that's why you received the letter, so you would know that this was coming. That way, if you had issues with it, you could come to the meeting tonight too.
Okay, so you're in 4 cases.
Oh.
You're coming out, right?
No,
No.
Sorry. This is for you. If you've got any questions, what's gonna go next door to you?
It's a notification, not a summons.
Yeah. Bless your heart. You've been sitting there all evening.
That's been a long night for you, wow.
Have a good evening. Nice evening.
We're sorry you had to sit here for 2.5 hours.
2.5 hours to have that question.
No,
I live with the city on my property, so I didn't know if I had to be here.
you're fine.
Okay.
We apologize. Have a good evening, what's left of it.
No kidding.
Okay. Have we taken, we didn't take a note for this?
We have not.
No, we haven't had somebody for it, have we?
Yeah, I read the staff
The
report.
staff report, yes.
Yeah, I read the staff report.
We on.
We're on.
You asked for audience and she came out.
Line item 6.
We're on 1312 North Market. Correct.
P10Z23.
We've had the staff report.
Yep.
Correct. Any questions from the board? Any questions from the audit? Hearing none, I'll call for vote. All in favor of case P10Z23, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
Hey,
Roll call.
No, don't you be shy.
Okay, Ms. Parker,
no, no.
Ms. Durham,
Yay.
Ms. Stover,
Aye.
Mr. Graves,
Aye.
Ms. Jefferson,
Aye.
Ms. Rule,
Aye.
Mr. Greg,
Aye.
Mr. Pike.
Aye.
Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, passes 7-1.
Motion passes 7-1. It now goes to the city council. It will be presented there by Councilman Greek. Director Sheila.
Hang on a second, I gotta get my case number on here, I'm gonna get them all messed up.
Dude, I'm so messed up. I got one of the notes for that. I don't know. Let's see. She was the neighbor to this.
Just told her in 3 more cases. She might have questions if she waited.
Okay. All right, so next case is case P11Z23, petition of Advantage Development Corporation requesting Kokomo Plan Commission petition recommend to the Kokomo Common Council for change in zone classification from R4 to R5. But this is at 908 North Cortland Avenue.
Move for approval.
Second. Thank you. Anyone here to present this case, please step forward.
Do duplexes on this one?
You said 2 duplexes? 2
No.
duplexes?
Duplex on this one, sorry. Duplex on this one.
Yeah, just so
Same
everybody
concept.
knows, the next few cases, there's either going to be one duplex or one triplex.
Correct. Correct.
That's all we're going to have for the next several cases.
Yep.
Okay?
All the triplexes are on double lots though, right?
Well, they're all big enough lots, yes.
Yes, all the lots combined, yes.
Yes.
Multiple contiguous lots.
You're correct. Yes, sir.
Any questions from the board before we have staff report?
Okay. Staff report for case P11Z23. Tim Martin of Advantage Development Corporation is requesting change in zone classification for the property listed above. The property will be used as duplex housing according to the current city of Kokomo zoning ordinance in the R5 zone district. Multifamily, that's 4 units or less, is a permitted use with a special exception. Zoning, the adjoining properties zones are to the north, R4 urban residential, to the south and east, R4 urban residential, and to the west, R3 medium density single-family residential. According to the City of Kokomo zoning ordinance, the R5 zoning district is compatible with all adjoining property zones. According to the City of Kokomo Comprehensive Plan Future Land Use Map, this area of North Cortland Avenue is located in an area proposed for high-density residential. Land use goals to encourage orderly and responsible development to promote health, safety, and quality of life of residents in the City of Kokomo while maintaining Kokomo as a leading community for affordable housing. Relevant land use objectives are to encourage adequate land for residential, commercial, industrial, institutional, and recreational uses. Designate specific districts in the community suitable for residential, commercial, industrial, institutional, and recreational uses. The goal of the City of Kokomo Comprehensive Plan Transportation Map is to enhance connections throughout the city for improved safety functions and efficiency for all modes of transportation, including vehicular, bicycle, and pedestrian networks. According to the transportation map, this area of North Cortland Avenue is defined as a local street, which is a street designed primarily to provide access to abutting properties and discourage through traffic. The traffic count for this area of North Cortland Avenue is 5,215 cars. The requested zoning change is compatible with all adjacent zonings. Therefore, with staff desires, the board forward a favorable recommendation to the Kokomo Common Council.
Any questions from the board? This is a duplex,
Yes, sir.
one story or two,
One,
number of bedrooms,
3 in each one,
you know the square footage of the units.
approximately 1,200 per unit.
Any other questions from the board? Any questions from the audience? Hearing none, I'll call for a vote. All in favor of case P11Z23, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
Nay.
Roll call.
Ms. Barker,
Nay.
Ms. Durham,
Aye.
Ms. Stover,
Aye.
Mr. Graves,
Aye.
Ms. Jefferson,
Aye.
Ms. Rule,
Aye.
Mr. Grickiu,
Aye.
Mr. Pike.
Aye.
Again, 7-1.
Motion passes 7-1. It now goes to the common council and will be presented there by Councilman Greenview. Director Sheila.
Okay, I gotta get my number down here again, sorry.
3 more.
Okay, next case is case P12Z23, petition of Advantage Development Corporation requesting Kokomo Common Council, requesting the Kokomo City Plan Commission petition to recommend to the Common Council to change the zone classification from R4 to R5. This is at 1051 East Richmond Street.
Move for approval.
Second.
Someone here to represent this case, please step forward. Brief summary of what we're doing, please.
This is another triplex, I believe, on this one. Right in front of me. Yes, yes. So same as the previous triplex. No changes.
3 bedrooms, 1,200 square feet,
Yep,
each unit.
all the same. All the infill will be the same.
But this is 2 lots. Any other questions from the board? Any questions from the audience? Hearing none, I'll call for a vote. All,
We need staff.
let's do staff report first. I got ahead of myself.
I really don't want to, but we have.
Sorry about that.
I kind of missed Greg's voice there for a minute.
I apologize. I did too. Good try.
Okay, case P12Z23, Tim Martin of Advantage Development Corporation requested change in zone classification for the property address listed above. The property will be used as triplex housing. According to the current City of Kokomo zoning ordinance, in the R5 zone district, multifamily 4 units or less is a permitted use with a special exception. Joining property zones are to the north, urban residential, to the south, MI light industrial, to the east, MI moderate intensity industrial, and to the west, R4 urban residential. According to the City of Kokomo zoning ordinance, the R5 zoning district is compatible with all adjoining property zones. Medium density residential is single-family housing of various types between 3 to 6 units per acre. Typical medium density housing would be single-family detached duplexes, triplexes, condominiums, townhomes, and cluster housing. Land use goals to encourage orderly and responsible development to promote health, safety, and quality of life of residents in the city of Kokomo while maintaining Kokomo as a leading community for affordable housing. Relevant land use objectives are to encourage adequate land for residential, commercial, industrial, institutional, and recreational uses, designate specific districts in the community suitable for residential, commercial, industrial, institutional, and recreational uses. The goal of the City of Kokomo Comprehensive Plan Transportation Map is to enhance connections throughout the city for improved safety, function, and efficiency for all modes of transportation, including vehicular, bicycle, and pedestrian networks. According to the transportation map, this area of East Richmond Street is defined as local street, which is a street designed primarily to provide access to abutting properties and discourage through traffic. The traffic count for this area of East Richmond is 3,199 cars. The requested zoning change is compatible with all adjacent zonings, therefore the staff desires that the board forward a favorable recommendation to the Kokomo Common Council.
Yeah. I'm tired, sorry. I understand. Sorry. Any questions from the board? Now we've had staff report.
Yes, I just have a quick one. On all the duplexes and triplexes, is the outside all vinyl and stone?
Generally, yes. Yes, yes.
Any other questions from the board? Any questions from the audience? Hearing none, I'll call for a vote. All in favor of case P12Z23, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
Nay.
Roll call, please.
Ms. Parker?
Nay.
Ms. Durham?
Aye.
Ms. Stover?
Aye.
Mr. Graves?
Aye.
Ms. Jefferson?
Aye.
Ms. Rule?
Aye.
Mr. Graycube?
Aye.
Mr. Pike? Aye. Again, 7-1.
Motion carries 7-1. Now goes to the city council. Will be presented there by Councilman Graycube. Director Sheehan.
Okay, next case is P13Z23, petition of Advantage Development Corporation requesting Kokomo City Plan Commission. Petition recommended to Common Council for change of zone classification from R4 to R5. This is 1215 North Purdy Street.
Move for approval.
Second.
Brief summary, please. What are we doing here?
Same. Can I say same? Is that okay? Is that acceptable at this point? These are all the same. These are all, the duplexes and triplexes will all be the same on all the infill lots on this hearing.
And this is a triplex.
Correct.
This is a triplex,
Correct.
All right.
Yes.
Director Sheehan, staff report.
Staff report, case P13Z23, Tim Martin of Advancing Development Corporation is requested change of zone classification for the property listed above. This property will be used as triplex housing. According to the current City of Kokomo zoning ordinance in the R5 zone district, multifamily 4 units or less is a permitted use with a special exception. The joint property zonings are to the north, south, east, and north and south is R4. To the west is R4, and to the east is R5. All those are urban residential. According to the City of Kokomo zoning ordinance, the R5 zoning district is compatible with all adjoining property zones. Multi-density residential is single-family housing of various types between 3 to 6 dwelling units per acre. Typical medium-density housing will be single-family detached duplexes, triplexes, condominiums, townhomes, and cluster housing. Land use goals encourage orderly and responsible development to promote health, safety, and quality of life for residents in the city of Kokomo while maintaining Kokomo as a leading community for affordable housing. Encourage adequate land for residential, commercial, industrial, institutional, and recreational uses. Designate specific districts in the community suitable for residential, commercial, industrial, institutional, and recreational uses. What the goal of the City of Kokomo Comprehensive Plan Transportation Map is to enhance connections throughout the city for improved safety, function, and efficiency for all modes of transportation, including vehicular, bicycle, and pedestrian networks. According to the transportation map, this area of North Purdom is defined as a local street, which is a street designed primarily to provide access to abutting properties and discourage through traffic. Traffic count for this area of North Purdom is 5,215 cars. The requested zoning change is compatible with adjacent zonings, therefore staff desires that the board forward a favorable recommendation to the Copeland Common Council.
Any questions from the board? Now we've had staff report. Any questions from the audience? I'll call for a vote. All in favor of case P13Z23, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
Nay.
Roll call, please.
Ms. Barker?
Nay.
Ms. Durham?
Aye.
Ms. Stover?
Aye.
Mr. Graves?
Aye.
Ms. Jefferson?
Aye.
Ms. Rule?
Aye.
Mr. Grayke?
Aye.
Mr. Pike?
Aye.
Again, 7-1.
Motion passes 7-1. It now goes to the city council. It will be presented there by Councilman Ricky. Director Sheila, next case, please.
Okay, next case is, sorry.
You're good.
Next case is case P14Z23, petition of Advantage Development Corporation requesting the Kokomo City Plan Commission petition recommend to the Kokomo Common Council for change in zone classification from R4 to R5. This is 312
Move for
North
approval.
Fordham Street.
Second.
Someone here to represent this case? Is this a,
What's the property gonna be?
This duplex on this one, I believe. Duplex on this one?
Triplex.
I don't have it in front of me. Duplex, right?
Triplex.
It says
Triplex. Triplex, I'm sorry. So same thing, same as the previous triplexes.
2 lots?
2 lots.
One big one.
Should be.
Again, it would be nice to know square footage and layout, but it's neither here nor there.
Get that as far as our final set of plans to you.
Oh, yeah, team. You ready?
Yeah.
So are they both gonna fit on one big lot?
I'm sorry?
Everything will be combined into one lot. We'll make everything one parcel, stay within variances. Well, everything will be combined. No matter what, if it's 1, 2, or 5 contiguous lots on these duplexes and triplexes, they'll all be combined into one. So we stay within the setbacks and variance guidelines.
Are we ready for staff?
I think we are,
Okay.
sir.
Staff report for case P14Z23. Tim Martin of Advantage Development Corporation requested a change in zone classification for the property listed above. Property will be used as triplex housing according to the current City of Kokomo zoning ordinance. In the R5 zone district, multifamily 4 units or less is a permitted use with a special exception. Adjoining property zonings are to the north, south, east, and west are all R4 urban residential. According to the City of Kokomo zoning ordinance, the R5 zoning district is compatible with all adjoining property zones. According to the City of Kokomo Comprehensive Plan Future Land Use Map, this area of North Fordham is located in an area proposed for medium density residential. Medium density residential is single-family housing of varying types between 3 to 6 dwelling units per acre. Typical medium density housing would be single-family, detached duplexes, triplexes, condominiums, townhomes, and cluster housing. Land use goals encourage orderly, responsible development to promote safety and quality of life residents in the City of Kokomo while maintaining Kokomo as a leading community for affordable housing. Encourage adequate land for residential, commercial, industrial, institutional, and recreational uses. Designate specific districts in the community suitable for residential, commercial, industrial, institutional, and recreational uses. The goal of the City of Kokomo Comprehensive Plan Transportation Map is to enhance connections throughout the city for improved safety functions and efficiency for all modes of transportation, including vehicular, bicycle, and pedestrian networks. According to the transportation map, this area of North Fordham Street is defined as a local street, which is a street designed primarily to provide access, pardon me, to provide access to abutting properties and discourage through traffic. Traffic count for this area of North Fordham Street is 810 cars. Requested zoning change is compatible with all adjacent zonings. Therefore, the staff desires that the board forward a favorable recommendation to the Kokomo Common Council.
Someone here to represent this case, come to the microphone.
We already did that.
Oh, yeah.
any questions from the
Any questions from the audience or board?
No, I got a question I want to
Oh,
ask.
okay.
Oh.
Oh, sorry.
I have a question.
I thought you were bringing them up for 15 already. All right.
We all thought the same thing.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And I don't know if it hit, but every one of my notes says, is this a duplex or a triplex? Is it two-story?
1 story.
How many bedrooms?
1 3.
Say again, please.
1 story, 3 bedroom.
Okay. That is my question. Man, I'm so in trouble. Any other questions from the board? My list is depleted. Any questions from the audience? Hearing none, I'll call for a vote. All in favor of case P14Z23, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
Nay.
Good job.
Ms. Barker?
Nay.
Ms. Durham?
Aye.
Ms. Stover?
Aye.
Mr. Graves?
Aye.
Mr. Jefferson?
Aye.
Ms. Rule?
Aye.
Mr. Grieco?
Aye.
Mr. Pike?
Aye.
7-1.
Motion passes 7-1. It now goes to the common council presented there by Councilman Grieco.
Thank God. The last case is case P15Z23, petition of Advantage Development Corporation requesting the Kokomo City Plan Commission petition recommended to the common council for change in zone classification from R4 to R5. This is at 1318 North Wabash Avenue.
I'll move for approval.
Second.
Someone here to represent this case?
That's me again. Duplex on this one, I believe?
Yes.
Correct? Yes. So same thing. 1 story, 3 bedroom, approximately 1,200 square feet, each unit. No changes.
Do you know what color the siding's gonna be?
I don't. I don't. You want to pick one for me and I'll.
How
I'll
about the
send it.
stone? You know it yet?
I don't.
No?
I don't. That's a question for the boss man.
I have veto power over that because I vetoed the paint and dunbar.
There you go.
Director Sheeline?
Okay, last staff report. Case P15Z23, Tim Martin of Advantage Development Corporation is requesting a change in zone classification for the property listed above. The property will be used as duplex housing according to the current City of Kokomo zoning ordinance in the R5 zone district. Multifamily 4 units or less is a permitted use with a special exception. The adjoining zoning properties are to the north, south, east, and west, all R4 urban residential. According to City of Kokomo zoning ordinance, the R5 zoning district is compatible with all adjoining property zones. High-density residential is single-family and multifamily housing of various types. Over 6 dwelling units per acre. Typical high-density housing would be apartments, condominiums, townhomes, and cluster housing. Land use goals to encourage orderly and responsible development, to promote health, safety, and quality of life for residents in the City of Kokomo while maintaining Kokomo as a leading community for affordable housing. Relevant land use objectives are to encourage adequate land for residential, commercial, industrial, institutional, and recreational uses. Designate specific districts in the community suitable for residential, commercial, industrial, institutional, and recreational uses. The goal of the City of Kokomo Comprehensive Plan Transportation Map is to enhance connections throughout the city for improved safety, function, and efficiency for all modes of transportation, including vehicular, bicycle, and pedestrian networks. According to the transportation map, this area of North Wabash Avenue is defined as a local street, which is a street designed primarily to provide access to abutting properties and discourage through traffic. Traffic count for this area of North Wabash Avenue is 5,215. Requested zoning changes compatible with all adjacent zonings, therefore the staff desires that the board forward a favorable recommendation to the Kokomo Common Council.
You might come to the microphone just a second.
Sir.
I don't know if you realize how hard every member of this board works. They all have regular jobs, they're all volunteers. They take this serious. They could care about the City of Kokomo. They care about every vote they make. And to be honest with you, your lack of preparation and your lack of ability to even come up and give me a summary on every case, I personally find it extremely disturbing. I just hope in the future you find some professionalism somewhere, because I haven't seen any tonight. That being said, I'll call for, anybody in the audience got any questions? Any board member have any questions? I'll call for vote. All in favor of case P15Z23, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
Nay.
Ms. Barker.
Nay.
Ms. Durham.
Aye.
Ms. Stover.
Aye.
Mr. Graves.
Aye.
Ms. Jefferson.
Aye.
Ms. Rule.
Aye.
Mr. Graycube.
Aye.
Mr. Pike.
Aye.
7-1.
Motion passes 7-1. Now goes to the common council presented here by Councilman Grieco. Director Shoreline.
I have no other business tonight, Mr. President.
I got you better.
Approval claims?
Next on the,
I move to approve, are you ready for them?
Yep.
Move to approve claims dated June 13th, 2023, in the amount of $26,166.59.
Second?
claims have a motion and a
Motion
second.
adjourned.
All in,
Second.
all in,
We got a vote.
wait a minute. All in favor of approval of claims, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Claims are approved. Now we can do the, get out of here.
Adjourn.
Move second and third.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Aye.
Thank you all. Appreciate your patience. Thank you.